7:52 on the calendar in the matter of Heath versus Coleman. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Heath, Mrs. Coleman is your neighbor, and this is her son.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
You are 17.
Yes, ma'am.
But large for your age.
Yes.
And it is your claim that Miss Coleman's son assaulted you.
Assault and battery, ma'am.
Depends on where you live. And you want to be compensated. And Miss Coleman and her son say that you started it, and he just finished it. So, I'm going to start with you. What's your first name?
Marquise.
How long have you and Mr. Heath been neighbors?
I don't know how long he's lived there, but I lived there for 2 years.
How long have you been there, Mr. Heath?
Since May of 2006.
So a little less than a year.
Affirmative.
A year. Have you gotten along for that year that you've been living there?
Up until recently.
What happened recently, Mr. Heath?
On April 25th of 2007, I was outside my door. Mr. Peppers was also outside his door. He was calling me a pedophile. He was saying I should never, never, never say the name of his little sister. I admit I may have started behavior that was more of an interest to a proctologist. But
I don't know what you mean by that, sir.
I was upset that being called a pedophile after 30 years of being a registered nurse here in California.
So he was calling you names and told you never to mention the name of his sister. What did you say to him?
Well, he challenged his authority by claiming that if I said in the name of his sister one more time, that he would beat me down. Being that I was very upset because of the general rumor within the neighborhood of me being a pedophile, I did say her name. Her name is Sanji.
And then what happened?
I repeated it a few times as he came
So you taunted
closer.
him. You were grown up.
Yes, I was an angry
You were a
grown-up.
grown-up. You were an angry grown-up.
Yes.
And he had called you a vile name.
Quite,
ahead.
especially when I have no record anywhere.
I understand you have no record anywhere.
Okay.
Got it. So you were taunting him, and what did he do?
He pushed me, and then, you know...
How did he push you, Mr. Heath?
I do believe, I will take his word for it, that he belly bumped me.
Okay.
I turned to catch myself, and I was struck on the back. I cannot say exactly if it was him or his friend LJ, but I did sustain an injury to my back.
Him?
He was right next to him, shoulder to shoulder.
So they both came over to you after you had repeated his sister's name several times.
Affirmative.
And he belly bumped you. When you turned around, somebody hit you in the back.
Yes, well, turning around in that, I was trying to catch myself as I was falling.
And as a result of that, were you injured?
Yes, I have a report from my chiropractor that I have injuries from T6, that's thoracic spine vertebrae 6 to 7. These were significant enough for me not to be able to work for 2 months, which I have documentation from my employer of such.
All right, Mr. Pep, let me hear you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. On the day of that incident, the day before, we had got into like 2 days before we got into an argument.
About what?
I was sitting outside because my friends stayed next door to him. And I was sitting outside talking to them, and then my sister...
Talking to whom?
My friends that stay next door to him. And so I'm sitting outside, and then my mom calls me, and she sent my sister to come get me. And my sister comes, and she says, Marquise, your mom wants you. And then so he reaches over, and she's in between these stairs, and he reaches over and pats her on the head. And I say, man, don't touch my sister.
Why not?
Because, like, I don't know what it is, but ever since he's moved there, I've been, like, you know, real uncomfortable around him. And he's, like, he acts real, you know, friendly and stuff towards kids, like, you know, little girls. And I just, with my sister, I keep, you know, I'm overprotective about my sister. And so...
But he just touched her on the top of the head.
I know, but it was, like, the way how he did it. Like, you know, he rubbed his hand through her hair. And, like, you know, and I didn't like the way it happened, but I wasn't disrespectful to him. I just said, can you don't...
Fine, you said, don't touch my sister. That's all you said to him.
Yeah, but as I said that, my mom walked out, and I told her what happened. And then so they got into an argument, and...
Why did you get into an argument, Miss Coleman, with him?
As I walked out, I heard George yelling at my son. And all I heard was the end of the conversation, and I asked him...
What did you hear?
He was calling my son ignorant and a pervert for saying what he said or whatever.
Well, did you say anything to him?
I said, don't touch my sister's head, and he called me a pervert because he said that I was looking at him as that, like, I don't know why he said it, but he just called me a pervert because I told him not to touch my sister.
And then?
That's when I came out.
Yes.
And I
Right.
heard them arguing, and my son said, George touched Sanji, and that's when I went to tell him he doesn't have to put his hands on her, do not touch her.
Did your son tell you how he touched her?
No, but what the thing.
Well, why didn't you get that information, Miss Coleman?
I did. When I came over, he said he touched Sanji on the head. And right then, when she said he touched Sanji, I just verbally told him, to keep his hands off my daughter, and I asked my children to come into our yard.
Okay, so that was a couple of days before.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened, Mr. Pepper?
And then the day of the incident, we were outside. We played basketball and all of that outside. And George comes out and was playing the guitar to the little girl in the window. And I was just sitting there.
Playing a guitar?
Yeah, playing
Okay.
the guitar and singing to her. But he's sitting there playing the guitar to her. And that's not my relative or anything, so I didn't say anything about that. And somehow he got into an argument with other kids that was on the block. And so they were arguing, and somehow they said to him something about, oh, you touch kids and stuff. And he was like, yeah, I touch a lot of kids. And he started naming off kids on the street, like girls and stuff that he's touched. And then he somehow said Sanji's name, my sister. And then so that was when I got into the conversation. And I asked him, I said, man, don't talk
Did
about
you
my
call
sister.
him a pedophile?
No, I've never called him a pedophile.
Did you call him a pervert?
No, I've never called him a pervert.
What did you call him?
I didn't call him anything. I just said, do not touch my sister.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So I had chest bumped him, and he just stumbled back and hit the wall and purposely fell to the ground. And he made a lot of weird noise and stuff that, it could tell that it was being acted.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. George Heath claims neighbor 17-year-old Marquise Peppers falsely accused him of being a pedophile and then assaulted him.
Okay, and what did he say to you?
And he got into an argument with me, calling me a pervert and that I'm immature and stuff because I'm calling him out on stuff. And I'm like, I didn't say anything. All I said was, don't touch my sister. And then so we're sitting here, we're arguing. And I stepped back, and my friend was with me also, and he was talking to him. He was like, there's no need for you to say her name. And I pulled him back, and we're about to walk away. And George says it again. He was like, oh, what do you mean, Sanji? And I was like, don't say her name. And then so he takes off his glasses, and he untucks his shirt, and he steps up to me, and he says, what do you mean, Sanji? Sanji, Sanji? And so I had chest bumped him, and it was like a fake stumble type, and he just stumbled back and hit the wall and purposely fell to the ground. And he made a lot of weird noise and stuff that, it could tell that it was being act. And some kids was laughing at him and stuff because he was acting it out. And his wife said, I'm calling the police. And then so I looked at him, and then I turned around and my sister was calling me. So I turned around, picked up my sister, and then I told my friend, I was like, let's go. And then we walked to his house.
Mr. Pepper.
Yes, ma'am.
What facts do you have that suggest to you that Mr. Heath's intentions with regard to the kids who play in the neighborhood, either singing to them or patting your sister on the head, is anything other than just genuine caring for children?
It's because of the way he does it. It's real weird. I don't feel comfortable around him. And for that, I don't feel that my sister should be around him. I've never been disrespectful to him or anything.
You assaulted him, sir.
No, ma'am, but prior
Yes,
to
you
the
did.
incident,
You assaulted him, sir. He was taunting you, which is not very smart of a grown-up man to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Not very smart to a big 17-year-old, who certainly
that.
outweighs him and certainly outmuscles him. But you have no right to put your body on him in any way. You should have been smarter, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Now-
But I had to confront the lie.
Mr. Heath, have you ever been arrested for a sexual offense on a child?
No, ma'am.
The next question is irrelevant, therefore, and you've never been convicted. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
You have any children of your own?
Yes, ma'am. We have 4 biological children and 1 foster child.
How old is the foster child?
She is 32.
So you raised her.
Affirmative.
And your 4 children, how old are they?
We have a boy who's now Sergeant George Heath of the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment. We have twin boys, Pete and Repeat. One is Staff Sergeant Joseph Heath of the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment. Our other son is Specialist David Heath, who recently was last week was taken out by shrapnel in Baghdad, but he's doing just fine. He'll be in the United States today. And then my daughter, Rebecca Heath, she's 23. She's a certified nurse's aide and a senior in health administration.
Have any of these children visited your home?
Yes.
You live in your home with your wife?
Yes,
How long have you been married?
31 years, ma'am.
Mr. Pepper,
Yes, ma'am.
we are supposed to rejoice in the differences among people in this country. That means that not everybody is made the same.
I know that.
Some people say affirmative rather than yes. Some people may appear to be, to you, a little peculiar, but that doesn't make them a pervert.
No, ma'am, I've
That
never...
doesn't make them strange. That wouldn't inspire me to say to somebody who's the father of 4 children, don't put your hands on my sister. Now, if you said to me that he hit her in the behind or tapped her in the butt, I would say, go over there and you can knock his lights out. But what you told me was he patted her on the head, and you just didn't like the way that looked. And you went outside, and all you heard was your son saying to you, he touched your daughter, and you blew. You didn't listen. I think that what you have to do is celebrate the differences amongst people, Mr. Pepper. You have perfect right to say to your daughter, listen, I don't want you to go over to neighbors, strangers, or whatever. But your son has absolutely no business, despite the fact that Mr. Keith was not smart,
Yes, ma'am.
has no right to go over there and chest bump him, belly bump him, or whatever other kind of bump him he did. His lawsuit asks for $1,700. He's going to get that. You have a counterclaim. Counterclaim is that he filed false charges against you with Child Protective Services. When did he file charges against you with Child Protective Services?
Per the letter, it says on 5/2 that there was an investigation.
And what makes you think that it was Mr. Heath who filed those charges?
Okay, when we went to court for our restraining order, that was denied. Mr. Heath subpoenaed the CP.
Who went to court for a restraining order?
George filed a restraining order on me and my son.
Well, he should have.
Right.
Your son used force against him.
Right.
Was it granted?
No, they were both denied.
Oh, that's ridiculous. In my judgment, it's ridiculous. What grounds do you have to file for an application for a protective order against Mr. Heath?
Because when the incident happened, my daughter constantly goes over there, and it's like he's everywhere my daughter is, he's behind her. Like it's in a place that he goes across the street that my daughter plays at. He's never over there, never over there. But every time my daughter is over there, George is over there. You know what I'm saying? It's like it seems like everywhere my daughter is, I see George. Normal places where he doesn't go. He's normally in his yard. Like he comes in my yard and uses the water hose. He was told by the judge, he was told by the police officers that he keeps calling on me to stay away from us. We were told to stay away from each other. I agreed. But he constantly, like if my daughter's in the yard, I don't let her out the yard because of the situation. I'll make her stay in the yard and ride the bike. George will come over, open the gate, and use the water hose, or, you know, just do stuff to, you know, to have me try to have confrontation towards us.
What proof do you have that Mr. Heath called
I don't have proof that he called, but for our restraining order, he had all the information. How does he know that CPS came to my house? When we went to court, he filed a subpoena for the CPS worker to come to our restraining order. That's how I assumed that he called, because...
Did you have that information, Mr. Heath?
The reason I know that Ms. Johnson is a child protective worker is that she was at Ms. Coleman's door, and when I saw her, and I said, I don't think Ms. Coleman's there. She asked, you know, who are you? I identified myself and where I live, and then she identified herself, and we went into my apartment, and we had a discussion concerning, well, actually, one of the things we discussed is whether or not I am a pedophile. Obviously, I'm here, not arrested, so she felt there was no basis for the allegation that I'm a pedophile.
Did you make a call to Child Protective Services, sir?
Can I leave that under confidentiality?
See what I'm saying?
Well,
Yes
you
or
see,
no? I'll answer if you,
no, well,
if you want me
the
to.
point is, Mr. Heath, if you had grounds in your judgment to place a call to Child Protective Services, because that's her counterclaim, she says that you had no basis. She believes that you did call.
Okay, that would be a different question. Would I have, if I called, would I have a basis? The answer is yes, I would.
Well, tell me what basis you had if you had called.
Okay.
Got it.
I'm sorry, I don't consider that very funny. The basis I have is that I have seen her use the most unusual type of child rearing, curse words at her daughter. I've seen her with an open hand strike her daughter in the head. Also, I am quite suspicious that her daughter has some type of minimal brain damage. I'm not sure if it's cerebral palsy like my wife.
Shh, quiet. You can't be quiet, you'll leave. Do you understand? Good. Go ahead.
I am not sure if it's cerebral palsy, or I'm not sure if it's attention deficit disorder, but I know she has fine motor coordination problems because one of the things I have done with the children is to plant a garden. And when Sanji came up to plant, she could not follow my simple instructions that I could get children half her age to do. So I'm just...
Put your hand down. Go ahead.
I am quite concerned. I do know...
Okay, so that would be the basis. If you
Yes.
had called...
If I had called.
If you had called, that would be the reason that you called.
Affirmative.
Go ahead.
Okay. As far as me, the allegation was that I called my daughter the B word and I hit her with an open fist. My daughter is really, I would never, I do not use that word. I don't like that word. I don't like to be called that word because my mother called me that, and I would never call my children that, no matter how angry or what we were going through. So that's just ridiculous. And as far as me hitting my daughter with an open fist, there's just no...
Open hand.
Yeah, open hand. There's no way. I don't... You can ask my son. She
Okay.
doesn't even get in trouble. So
Okay.
I don't even know.
Your counterclaim's denied. You owe Mr. Heath $1,700, which is what he's asking for this assault. Mr. Heath may be a peculiar man. He may not have exercised good judgment when he taunted you by repeating your sister's name. It doesn't give you license to put your hand or your body, and you have a big body, sir, on another human being. You have no right to do that. As I said, there is no indication today that Mr. Heath is anything other than maybe a slight bit odd.
I resemble that remark.
Right. But that's it. And we celebrate that kind of stuff in this country. You have an absolute right to say to your daughter, I don't want you to play with Mr. Heath. I don't want you alone with him. Don't go to his house. But you can't put your hands on him. Do you get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,700. That's all.
Parties are excused. Your Honor, case number 9 on the calendar in the matter of Whale versus Gray.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Miss Whale, you met the defendant at a gym. Was she your trainer?
Yes.
And then she became your tenant. She and her children moved into a basement apartment that you have.
Yes.
According to your complaint, when she left, she owed you rent, and she also owed you for some babysitting services.
Yes.
Ms. Gray says she paid rent while she was there. She owes you nothing, and she is counterclaiming because she says you failed to give her any notice of your intention to terminate the tenancy, unceremoniously packed her things and put them outside, and some of her things were ruined. And she also wants moving expenses because you put her out in the street with her children in the middle of the month. So she's counterclaiming.
Yes.
When did she move into your apartment?
August 15th.
And according to what I read, when she moved in, you did not pay any rent for August.
No, ma'am, I did not.
And Ms. Whale, according to what I gather from your complaint, you sort of agreed to waive August's rent.
No, that's not correct.
Yes, I believe you did.
I have a...
Shh. Between August 15th or 19th, when she moved in, and December, when you put her out, when did you demand that she pay the 2 weeks in August?
We spoke about it on a regular basis.
Really?
That is
Yes.
not correct.
Shh, just a minute. I don't think I believe that.
I have a witness who...
Who's that?
Stephen Rose. He'll testify otherwise.
Fine. But I don't think that you expected rent from her for August. Did she pay rent in September?
Yes.
Did she pay rent in October?
Yes.
Did she pay rent in November?
Yes.
How much did she pay a month?
$600.
Correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Did she pay December's rent?
She did with the check that she bounced.
Shh. Don't say anything. When did she pay December's rent?
On the 13th, she was late all the time.
But she paid your rent on December 13th. When did you put her out?
The 15th,
Well, if you put her out, why did you cash her check for December?
because she owed me for the first 2 weeks that she was there.
No, she didn't.
She was...
No, she didn't. I mean, I read your complaint. You say that you didn't like the way she treated her child, you didn't like her comings and goings, and you decided to get her out. When did you tell her you were putting her out?
We tried to get a hold of her all that day, and she was speaking about moving out
is not
for
true,
weeks.
Your Honor.
Shh. Listen, if you interrupt again, I'm going to find in her favor, which is not going to be easy for me, but I don't like shouting out.
Excuse me.
You had been trying to get in touch with her all day. All day is not what a landlord does. A landlord gives a tenant notice.
Your Honor, she had been telling me that she was moving out for weeks.
Whether she tells you she's moving out or not, she paid you rent for the month of December, anticipating that she would have a place to live in the month of December. 2 days later, you kicked her out and went to cash a check. And she canceled the check because you kicked her out, and now you're suing her for the month of December's rent. I mean, that's outrageous. Outrageous. So she doesn't owe you any rent. I'm finding that right now. And because of what you did by throwing her out in the middle of the month without any notice, she doesn't owe you anything for the 2 weeks that she lived there in December. Nothing. Let's go to child care. Explain the child care scenario to me.
I went through the motions of becoming certified so that she could get assistance from the state for child care, and the state paid a portion. Her ex-husband paid his portion.
State paid how much?
It was different according to the months because she worked different hours.
When did you start babysitting for her?
The second she moved in.
In August?
Yes.
When did you become certified?
The process was a few months.
Did they pay you retroactively?
No, they paid me along the way because they said since I was in the process of becoming certified, then that was fine with them.
How many children do you have?
I have 3 children.
And you were watching all 3 children?
From time to time, yes. One of them was in kindergarten for part of the time.
Well, what was your financial arrangement?
That the rest of it would be paid by her and her ex. They were going to split that. Her ex always paid me, she didn't.
Is that correct?
Your Honor, I have this as evidence in a long letter that she wrote to me. Number 5, I have highlighted. You save hundreds of dollars a month because I am willing to trade your portion of child care fees for training at the gym.
Can I see it, please? Can I see that?
Agreed to.
Just a minute.
She did not honor that part.
That's not true.
Shh. Well, that's what you say. You say you are trading as of November
Right.
2006. You save hundreds of dollars because I'm willing to trade your portion of child care fees for training at the gym.
Which didn't happen.
Well, it may not have happened, but you didn't say that here. As of November 7th, you had agreed that she was doing this trade with you. You didn't say you could have saved hundreds of dollars because I was willing to trade, but you didn't give me the training. You say you save hundreds of dollars monthly because I'm willing to trade your portion of child care fees for training at the gym. That's as of November. And you put her out in December. That's what it says. What else does she owe you for?
Damage to the property.
What kind of damage to the property?
Carpet that has to be replaced, which I'm not charging her for. I'm just charging her for the cleaning of the carpet, as well as wall damage.
You have pictures of the damage?
I don't. I have estimates for it.
You must be very angry with her for some reason.
I am not.
Because I
just
don't
want
see,
what's
because
rightly
quite
mine.
frankly, I don't see a case here. She came to live with you in August. She paid September, October, November, and December's rent. You put her out in December, in the middle of the month. She stopped payment on the check, which was the absolute right thing to do. You had an agreement with her that in addition to the substantial living that you were making as a result of watching the children and the state paying for it, and you were getting additional money from the ex-husband to cover unreimbursed portions, you were bartering the service with her, which you acknowledged that you were bartering for training at the gym.
Which she didn't honor.
Well, you don't say that here in a letter that you sent to her in November. And if all you have to do after she moved out is clean the carpet, sounds to me as if it's just fine. Is it a legal apartment that you have there?
No.
It's not a legal apartment?
No.
Then you're not entitled to any rent. If it's not a legal apartment, but she's entitled to it, she's entitled to all of her rent back. That's what happens when you rent an illegal apartment to somebody with 3 children. You are counterclaiming because you say that she put you out in the middle of the month. She absolutely did. Where did you go?
Yes, ma'am. It was blizzard, snowing outside. I went to my friend's house that lives across the street, and I slept on her couch. I was not able to get my children back from the end of the weekend from my ex-husband for several days because I had nowhere to put my children.
Are the children with you now?
Yes, ma'am.
Because according to the plaintiff, she called Child Protective Services and reported what she considered abuse or neglect on your part. So I assume there was an investigation. Was there?
No, ma'am, there was not an investigation, but there was abuse on her part to my children, I feel, Your Honor.
Well, you don't talk about that here. I don't understand why this lady came to court, quite frankly. She's exposed herself terribly. Don't you know that you're not allowed to charge rent for an illegal apartment?
She was going to be out on the street. I was helping her out.
Well, you can help her out. You can help her out and let her stay in your basement.
I couldn't let her stay
No,
in my
listen to me.
basement.
You can help her out and let her stay in your basement, but you can't charge rent. You cannot rent an illegal apartment unless you have a certificate of occupancy for the apartment. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Perfect. You're not allowed to put somebody out. She's suing you for $1,300. Your claim is dismissed. Her counterclaim is granted. $1,300 for the defendant. That's all.
Thank
Step
you, Your
out.
Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I needed to ask her to leave because she was locking her son under the stairs
I didn't lock him there and like leave him there.
in a teeny little cubby in a storage space with no heat and no light.
That's not true. I did not lock him in this tiny little place under the stairs.
I couldn't have that abuse going on in my home anymore.
There was a big, big space under the stairs, but it's a huge house. It was a huge place.
It was about neglect. She just wanted to party, and she wanted to have somebody watch her kids 24/7.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lusk versus Rothrock. Step forward.
19-year-old Rebecca Lusk is suing party guest, 19-year-old Jeffrey Rothrock, for denting her vehicle during a wrestling match with another guest.
Miss Lusk, it is your claim that the defendant is responsible for denting your car during a fight.
Yes.
Defendant's position is that it was the other guy who was really responsible, some guy named Charlie.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you witness this altercation?
I saw that when he was actually thrown into the car.
I'd like you to tell me what happened. First, when it happened, or where you were when it happened?
I was in the house up in my room with my best
Where?
friend.
In your house, where? What jurisdiction?
It was nighttime, and
Jurisdiction, that means where? That means the place.
in upstairs, the upstairs part of the house,
Were you in Colorado,
Oh,
Massachusetts?
Fountain Valley.
And where is Fountain Valley?
in Orange County, right
In
next
California.
to Huntington Beach. Yes.
And at what time did this happen?
I think it was about 10:30 at night.
And did you know Mr. Rothrock before?
No, I had not known him prior to that night.
What were you doing there that evening, sir?
I was with a couple of my friends, and we were going there for a party.
Were you having a party that night?
No, he went to dinner with one of my roommates. She was going with some friends from high school to dinner that night. And then they came over after dinner.
So there was a little gathering at your house?
Yeah, it was only about 8 people, though.
I said a little gathering at your house. And you were upstairs in your room?
Yes, I'd gotten off work that night.
Go ahead, let me hear.
So I had gotten off work, and I was in my room watching TV with my roommate. We lived in the master bedroom, not her. And she was leaving. She went outside, my witness. She said they were fighting.
Who was
and that
fighting?
He and Charlie.
And whose friend is he?
He's Tina, who he was with that night, my roommate. They were with her.
And Charlie was her friend?
Yes.
Go ahead.
She came upstairs to get me and said that they were fighting near my car.
What were you fighting with Charlie about?
Well, it started with a wrestling match, and then
You were out to dinner that evening with him?
actually I didn't go to dinner with Charlie. Prior to that, I probably only knew Charlie. I met him one time before that.
So it started with a wrestling match?
Yeah.
Which you did not see?
No.
Well, why don't you tell me about the wrestling match, Mr. Rothrock?
Okay, so
Tongue twister.
we're in the backyard.
Wrestling match, Mr. Rothrock. Go ahead.
Okay, we were in the backyard, and just basically he was saying a lot of like untrue statements that night, and I kind of laughed at one, and because he said that he could beat anyone in a wrestling match there, and he was a former wrestler, and so he challenged me to a wrestling match, and I wrestled him, and then it got broken
Okay,
up.
so he challenged you, and you said okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Had you been drinking that night?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what about Charlie?
Yes, he was too.
And how old are you, sir?
I'm 19.
Are you allowed to drink in California at age 19?
No, Your Honor.
Where'd you get the liquor from? Is not an answer.
Sorry, Your Honor. Someone that night bought it.
Who bought it?
I really don't know. It was
Where did
there-
you consume it? Is not an answer. Don't
Sorry.
think. Tell the truth.
Probably
then you
about-
don't have to have a good memory.
Probably about an hour after I got there.
Where did you consume it?
In the backyard and in the kitchen.
So when you were drinking in the backyard, that's when you and Charlie decided to have this wrestling match.
Yes, Your Honor.
Keep going.
Okay, so that got broken up, and then
Makes it so easy.
we went again, and that got broken up too.
Okay, so you wrestled twice.
And then
Who won the first match?
he won the first match, and I won the second match.
So he pinned you first.
Yes.
Then you pinned him second. Aren't you impressed that an old broad like me understands that term? Let me hear.
Okay, he wanted to wrestle again, and I was pretty much physically exhausted, and so I didn't agree to it, and I honestly don't know how, but probably 30 seconds after we started fighting, and then that got broken up, and immediately after that, I'm not sure who it was, but some owners of the house pretty much stated that they didn't want me to be there anymore, so I left, and I went to the front of the house to wait for my friends, and we were going to go home, and people came outside, and Charlie was one of them, and he had his shirt off, and he was getting in my face, kind of, clenching his fists and stuff, and like he kind of tackled me.
How do you kind of tackle somebody?
He speared me.
What has speared you?
He wrapped my legs up and put his upper body into my stomach, and that's how I fell into the car.
Is that what you saw?
No, ma'am.
You want to come up here and tell me what you saw? First, tell me your name.
I'm Lindsay Gardner. I'm Becca's best friend.
All right, Miss Gardner, tell me what you saw.
I was actually leaving the house when they...
What had you been doing that evening?
I was hanging out with Becca. She had just gotten off work and I was in the area, so I just came over to say hi.
Okay,
So
what had you been doing that evening?
I was working as well.
So you weren't drinking?
No.
Only they were drinking?
Yeah, we were both sober.
Yeah.
We weren't drinking.
Go ahead.
I was leaving. The defendant was outside. He was Charlie and he were verbally abusing each other, talking very loudly outside. That's when I went back upstairs and grabbed Becca and said, there's going to be a fight out in front of your house. And it's out in front of the house. It wasn't in the backyard. This is where the fight had occurred. I went out and then the fight had turned physical. And I was screaming at the top of my lungs, stop, stop, take this somewhere else. You're getting too close to her vehicle, stop. It was the only one there. And from then I saw the defendant. It looked like he pushed Charlie into the car, because if you saw what the car looked like, it's not like it's just a little push. It was like you needed force to make the damage on the car.
Got it. And who are you?
My name's Drew Adzovich.
You're Drew what?
Adzovich, and I was there the night that it happened. I was with him actually, and
were you drinking too?
I only had we got there late, so I only had maybe a beer or two.
Beer or two. Where did you have the beer or two?
In the backyard.
How old are you?
21 now.
But you were 20
at the time, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Who brought the alcohol?
I don't remember. I think it was there. I think it was at the house, because I knew the girl at the house. I went to high school with her, and that's how we went down there. And then.
Did you go out for dinner with Charlie?
No, I don't really like that guy, to tell you the truth.
I'm beginning not to like him either. Go ahead, let me hear.
Yeah. So then, like you said, what happened in the backyard? They kind of.
Get the backyard. Go to the front.
Well, when I was outside, Charlie came up to me and he was trying to apologize to him, and he wasn't having. He was like, "No, just leave me alone." And he kept trying to, and kept going.
Who kept trying?
Charlie. He kept pushing the issue, and Jeff apologizing. And then finally he got mad, and like he said, he clenched his fist, and then he just tackled him, and he fell back, and that's why the dent was so big. It's because he fell backwards into the car.
And
to be exact.
You didn't see anybody on the ground?
No, it was chaotic. You know how fights happen.
You didn't hear this young lady say, "Take it someplace else"?
No,
Look at me.
She wasn't even out there.
This young lady wasn't out there?
Oh, I didn't see her. I'm talking about the owner.
I'm not talking about the owner. I'm talking about this little lady right here.
You didn't see her out there? It was too chaotic. When fights happen, you don't see everything that happens.
Excuse me. What did you say?
When fights happen, it's so chaotic, you don't remember, you don't see what happens.
Right. Sit down. Thank you. Mr. Rothrock.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are responsible, sir, for what happened to her car. If you believe that Charlie, too, is responsible for what happened to the car, sue him. She doesn't have to go find Charlie. She's got you. Do you understand? That's what they call, in legalese, impleading. You could implead Charlie in this action, and you could have said, listen, I'm partially responsible because I was drunk and stupid, and I shouldn't have been drinking. He's partially responsible, so maybe we should each pay half. But the plaintiff doesn't have to go against both of you. She can only go against one of you if she wishes. And she chose you. I don't care why. You got to pay. And if you think Charlie should be partially responsible, sue him. I'm here every day. How much did it cost you to fix your car?
$1,197.54.
You have the bill?
Yes.
What kind of car is it?
2004 BMW.
Nice car.
Yes.
Who works?
I do.
You pay for it yourself?
Yes.
Good girl. Proud of you.
Thank you.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,197.54.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's horrible.
Now, it's case number 47 on the calendar, the matter of Johnston Barbera versus Wilson. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Johnson?
Yes.
This is your daughter?
Yes.
Your daughter was the victim of very serious assault.
Yes.
When did that take place?
June 3rd of '05.
She was stabbed. Is that right? It is your claim that these two young ladies, one of them was involved in the stabbing, and since the perpetrator of the crime was arrested, both of them have engaged in a course of conduct that amounts to serious harassment of Kelly. And since their mother has not been responsible in seeing to it that they behave themselves, you want her to be responsible now and pay the damages. Miss Wilson says her daughters were in no way involved in this and have not, in fact, been harassing your daughter. That's your defense. Is that right?
My daughters were not involved in the stabbing, no.
Okay. Who's Heather? Everybody can sit down except Heather. No, you stay there.
Oh, okay.
When did the stabbing take place, Heather?
June 3rd.
Was it a school day or not a school day?
It was school day.
Who were you with after school?
I didn't go to school. I was sick that day.
But you didn't stay home.
I did stay home.
No, you didn't. You didn't stay home all day. Listen to me. Let's understand something. I don't care what you told your mother. I don't care what you told the police. I don't care what you told anybody. We're going to have a truthful conversation here. Otherwise, it's going to be very unpleasant for you. Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the name of the girl who stabbed Kelly is what?
Michelle Brooker.
Otherwise known as?
Shelly Brooker.
And she is a friend of yours?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you meet her on June the 3rd? What time?
I don't know exactly what time it was.
Morning or afternoon?
It was afternoon.
Did she come to your house or did you go to her house?
I didn't go to her house. We met up.
Met where?
At the corner store.
How did you know to meet her at the corner store?
She called me and asked her to meet her there.
What did she say to you when she called you?
She said that her and Kelly were going to begin in a fight, and I said, okay, and she asked me to meet her there, and I met her there.
She said she and Kelly, this young lady,
Yes,
is going to be in a fight, and she wanted you to meet her there for what reason?
I guess to get in a fight.
So you met her at the corner store. Who else was there?
Just me and her.
And where did you go?
To the park.
Who was in the park?
Datrion, Cameron.
Who's Datrion?
My friend.
Who else?
Cameron, my friend. Chris.
Chris? Who was Chris?
My friend.
Are you tired?
Yes, ma'am. And Marquis.
Who was Marquis?
My friend.
And Shelley?
And a whole bunch of other people that I didn't know.
Where was Kelly?
There.
With whom?
With all of them.
And what about Shelley? Were they Shelley's friends as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Uncross your hands. And what happened when you got to the park?
They were yelling back and forth.
Stop moving. Who was yelling back and forth?
Kelly and Shelley.
What happened?
Well, when I was already there, and then I saw Heather and Shelley walking, and then they sat down like by the bleachers by us, and they were just talking for a little bit, and then we started yelling.
What were you yelling?
Just like we were just calling each other names, and
Who were you calling names?
Shelley, and it was going back and forth.
Why were you unhappy with Shelley? And why
We
was
didn't-
Shelley unhappy with you?
We didn't get along. Like we just never really. I didn't really know her. Like I wasn't friends with her. It was just kind of an acquaintance.
Were you in the park intending to fight that day?
Yeah.
Who had called you?
Well, I was over at Chris's house with those people that she named off, and I can't remember if Chris called Shelley, but they were talking on the phone, and then plans kind of happened.
Plans kind of happened to have a fight.
Yes.
So you all go to the park to have a fight. Is that right?
Yes.
And that's why you're there as well, correct? Did you have any weapon?
No.
Did you have any weapon?
Nope.
But Shelley had a weapon. When for the first time did you see Shelley's weapon?
When she pulled it out.
And where was she when she pulled it out?
Right next to Kelly, fighting her.
And what did she pull out?
Switchblade, I think.
Switchblade. And what did she do with the switchblade?
Stab Kelly.
How many times?
5, I think. That's what I heard.
Well, you were standing right there.
I was a distance, but I was there, yeah.
And after she stabbed Kelly 5 times, what did you do?
Left.
Who did you leave with?
Nobody. By myself.
Who called an ambulance for her?
I don't know.
Why didn't you?
Because I didn't want to go to jail.
Go to jail for what?
Because they would have thought that I was part of it.
Oh, you think so?
I thought so.
You think
I was
so?
I was scared. I was only 13. I didn't know that was going to happen.
Well, who called an ambulance for her?
I have no idea. I left.
But you did know one thing, madam. You knew that Shelley had committed a vicious assault, and as far as you could tell that day, she might have been dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
When did Shelley come to your house?
It's not for...
No. When did Shelley... Look at me. When did Shelley come to your house?
Like a month after, weeks after.
Are you telling me that you didn't speak to Shelley
No,
between
I spoke
June
to her.
3rd?
I spoke to her.
And where was she when you spoke to her?
Over the phone, not in...
Where was she when you spoke to her?
She didn't tell me.
I don't believe you.
I
don't believe you. If your mother believes you, then she wants to believe you. I don't believe you. Because a 13-year-old girl says, where are you? The police are looking for you.
She said I don't want the police to know, and so I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, yeah, I don't believe that for a second. Did you call the police and tell the police that you had been receiving phone calls from her?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
I don't know.
Why not?
I don't know.
And when did she come to your house?
Months afterwards. You can ask my mother.
You mean, I'm not asking your mother, I'm asking you. Does your mother work?
Yes, ma'am.
She's out of the house Monday through Friday?
Yes, ma'am.
She doesn't know what's going on in the house when she's not there. She doesn't know what's going on in the house when she's not there, and she doesn't know whether Shelley came to the house, you gave her food, you gave her money, you gave her clothes. She doesn't know any of that. I know it.
Well, I didn't.
Oh, yes, you did. Oh, yes, you did. The same way you walked away, leaving her to bleed to death, is the same way that you helped your friend Shelley, because you went there to fight at your friend Shelley's request. That's why you went there.
I didn't go to fight.
Then you should have stayed home, because according to you,
Yes,
you
ma'am, I
didn't go to
should have.
school because you were sick. Now, when your mother came home, did you tell her what happened?
No, ma'am.
No, because you were supposed to be home, so you lied to her. Again, right?
Yes.
How long did you lie to your mother?
I didn't keep making up lies, but it took
Well, when for the first time did you tell your mother that you had been there and witnessed a stabbing?
when the detective showed up at my house.
That's right. So until then, you kept lying to your mother.
Well, I just didn't tell her. I didn't lie to her.
Sure you did. Stay right where you are. What's your first name?
Mary.
Take your hands off the table. Uncross your arms.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You called again between 8:30 and 9 p.m.
That's the only time I called. I
and
have not
said,
called her.
Shelley didn't kill you when she stabbed you, but I will.
Kelly Babert claims former friends Heather and Mary Wilson had been harassing her. Kelly says the harassment started after she was stabbed by one of Heather's friends.
How long were you hospitalized?
For like a week.
Where were you stabbed?
My stomach, both my arms, my back, and my leg.
What kind of a sentence was imposed on Shelley?
She got 2 years. I don't remember what if it was first-degree assault.
She's incarcerated for 2 years?
Yeah.
How old is she?
I think she's a year younger than I am.
How old are you?
17.
She's still incarcerated?
Yeah, she gets out in November.
Did she go to trial?
Yes.
She went to trial. What was her defense? I'm curious.
She said that it was self-defense.
Self-defense. Where was the other knife?
It wasn't.
That's why she was convicted. Now, it is your claim that these two young ladies have been harassing you. And as a matter of fact, you have protective orders. I want you to tell me when the first incident of harassment started.
Well, I can't remember which one was first or whatever, but there was like a whole bunch of stuff off MySpace and just writing back and forth. And Mary was just like talking about she's too old to fight me or whatever, but she has other people that will. And
when did she say that to you?
She wrote it on MySpace.
Can I see it, please?
Now, I'm going to give you the police report also that verified it, because when we went to print that out, we were out of printer ink, and she took it off immediately after, but we have 3 of the different things here.
How old are you?
20.
Is there something wrong with you?
Yeah.
Why did you even communicate at all with her?
The reason that I communicated with her was on MySpace, like she had said was true. But through a friend of ours, there's a picture of my daughter on his MySpace, or there was. I couldn't print it out because he deleted the picture, but she said that my baby was ugly.
So what?
And you can't delete male messages off MySpace to show others.
You just told me that you communicated with her.
On a phone call, but I didn't communicate on a MySpace message.
Well, what did you say to her?
I was calling her a whole bunch of names and told her that she should have kept mine and my kid's name out of her mouth. And I did say that she's lucky that I was too old to beat her up. But I never said that I had friends that could beat her up or anything like that.
Actually, it says it right here that...
Can I see it, please?
Yeah.
She called the house the same evening. She emailed, and then later that night, Kelly and I both answered the phone.
You called again between 8:30 and 9 p.m.
That's the only time I called. I
And
have not called
said,
her.
Shelley didn't kill you when she stabbed you, but I will?
No, that is not me writing that. Why would I try to kill a little kid? I don't want to go to jail. I have a daughter. This is...
Yeah, I don't think that you wanted to do that at all. I just think that you said it just to be stupid.
Yeah, but
I don't think that you meant it at all. I think that you said it to be stupid.
I mean, yes,
now, when did you know that your sister was having trouble with her?
I knew when the detective came to our house and spoke that she had been at the stabbing. And I figured that they had problems because her and Shelley didn't get along. So I figured my sister's Shelley's friend, then obviously she's not going to get along with her either.
Your sister has a bad attitude. Did you know that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
You know, not a bad, very bad attitude.
I'm very aware.
Does your mother know that your sister has a very bad attitude?
Mm-hmm.
I can tell from looking at her face. If I were her mother and had a face like that, look at me when I talk to her, it would be the last time I would look at that face, madam. It would be the last time I would look at that face. How old are you?
15.
Do you want to be a miserable, ugly person your whole life?
No, man.
Well, you're starting out that way. You really are. You can either be successful and productive, or you can be a loser. Right now, you're on the road to loser. Big time. Does your mother tell you that?
No.
Well, I'm telling you, big time. You've got a miserable attitude. I can tell that from 20 feet away. I didn't even have to live with you as long as your sister did. You think that people are going to be attracted to you because you're tough?
No, ma'am.
They won't. They'll think you're an idiot. Can't you do anything with her?
I've tried. As you can see, it's complete opposite, and trust me, we've tried. It's just, if you don't have the attitude to change, nobody around you can make you change, and she doesn't want to change, so.
Do you discuss that with your mother?
Yes, me and my mom do talk about it.
You have my sympathy.
Thank you.
You really have my sympathy. I don't know what you're going to do with her. You know, when they're little, you can, deal with them better. You put them in a corner and you'd say, time out. And here's a good crack in your head, too. But she's too big for that.
Just gotta wait for her to move out. 18's coming.
What's with you, my dear? Why are you so angry? Why are you so angry? Why are you so hell-bent on destroying your life?
I'm not trying to destroy my life.
But you are.
I'm not.
You are. Your mother can't wait for you to turn 18 so that you get out of the house because you're making the rest of the family miserable. Is anybody at home abusing you?
No, ma'am.
Well, then I don't understand why you're so miserable.
Well,
You did absolutely the wrong thing. If a 13-year-old person who's not an infant sees a dog get hit in the street, they call an ambulance. They don't walk home and just, go get something to eat, relax, and do whatever. People with a conscience can't do that. You saw somebody that you knew, a child, your age, get stabbed 5 times by somebody who had a weapon, and you were able just to go home and sleep and get it. It's not important.
I didn't know what I was supposed to do.
You were supposed to get help for somebody that needed it because you were involved. You want to know why you were involved? Because if you and these other people hadn't gone with Shelley to the park, Shelley wouldn't have gone to the park. Shelley took strength in the fact that her friends were with her. You're all accomplices. Yes, you were. But for the fact that you all gave Shelley support, Shelley would not have had the courage to go to the park alone and stab her with a knife. She may have done it on another day, but she wouldn't have done it on your watch. That's why you're responsible. And then from a humane perspective, how could you just walk away and leave someone to bleed to death on the street? Now, I want you to continue to tell me what problems you've had with Miss Attitude over here.
It was like when I was going to Brenda's house.
Tell me what happened.
I was on the 51 and I was going to my street so I could catch the bus back up to my house to get my clothes to go over to hers. And it was like in an intersection and we were stopped at the light, and then Heather and like the people that were with me at the park or whatever were with her, and she walked in front of the bus and she was just calling me names and stuff, and I was getting off at that stop, so I pulled the thing and then I got off the bus or whatever. They all turned around, and then I just went in the corner store, and when I came back out, they weren't out there.
Why do you have any contact with her at all?
I just flipped her off.
Why?
Because she didn't like me, so I didn't want to like her.
Just a second. Between the time she was stabbed and last November, why did you have any negative contact with her at all?
I shouldn't have, but that was the only time that I said anything to her.
Why did you say anything to her?
I don't know. I was being stupid. But I have papers here that she wrote me. She wrote me first, before that day. She wrote me.
I'd like to see him.
I wrote her back, and then she wrote me again.
Yeah, she's saying to you, and she uses terrible, terrible language. You have to learn how to, use your words. Find some other language other than 4-letter words to express yourself. Stay in school. But she's really saying to you here, why don't you leave me alone? Don't you have anything else to do? Now, what you do say is, I am loyal to my friends, so I'm going to stick by Shelley 100%. I don't like having beef with people, but Shelley was my best friend, and I honestly don't even know why the whole fight started, but you should not have gotten stabbed. But like I said, she is my homie, so I'm going to stick by her. Your conversation with her was stupid?
Pretty much. I shouldn't have called her, and I do apologize for that. I realize that she is the victim in the stabbing, and if I had any control over my sister, she wouldn't have been there.
Good girl. Sit down. Want to stand up, Miss Wilson? Next to your daughter? I'm going to tell you a story. Many years ago, when I was a family court judge, there was a young girl who was going to Fashion Institute of Technology, and she was on the subway by herself. and a group of girls, 5 of them, had nothing to do that day. So they got on the subway, and this girl, whose name was Marisol, was wearing big hoop earrings. This case was probably 20 years ago, but I remember it so distinctly because one of the girls said to her friends, "Run those earrings," which means steal the earrings. And they encircled her, and one girl grabbed her by the hair, another girl ripped off the earrings, and the third girl stabbed her to death. She was 17 years old. And they got the stabber, and the stabber was tried for murder and convicted. You got that look on your face that I'd like to wipe off. Don't put it back on your face. I was sitting in family court at the time, and it was my job to try the other girls who were juveniles, and I convicted them all of murder, even the ones that didn't stab her, because but for the fact that they acted as a pack and they surrounded her and they were there giving her support, that girl would not have had the guts to take her on one-on-one. And I tell you now that that conviction was held up on appeal. So you are very lucky that nobody arrested you. You're very lucky that they didn't charge you, because if you were in my ballpark, you would be spending some time with Shelley. Meanwhile, it's going to cost you and your family $5,000, because that's what she's suing for, and that's what she's going to get. And I certainly hope that your mother gets you some help. Otherwise, you're going to be a miserable person your whole life. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused versus Bowen. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats.
All right, this is a strange little tale. Let me see if I can put it in perspective. Ms. Dent, the defendant is your son.
Yes.
According to your complaint, there came a time when he wanted to buy a car. You thought it was a good deal. You paid for the car with the understanding that he would pay you back.
Yes.
At the time that the car was purchased, he did not have a driver's license, and the car was not supposed to be driven. It is your claim he did not pay you for the car. To make a long story a little bit shorter, anyway, there came a time when your son was incarcerated. He says that when he was released from jail, that he delivered by messenger a money order. You have not cashed the money order. In the meantime, he says that you made arrangements for the police to be involved. The police impounded the car. There were impound fees of almost $900. So you're suing him for the cost of the car. He's suing you for the cost of the car, plus the impound fees. Is that pretty much the story?
Pretty much.
Now, when was the car purchased?
It was March 3rd was the day that he called me, and it was indeed a good deal.
How much was the car?
When he called me on the phone, it was $100. When I got there, it had gone up to $150 after I had come back from the bank.
$150?
Right.
Is that what you paid for the car?
No, I paid $120.
Well, could somebody explain to me why then you people have filed a lawsuit? You want $1,500 for this car?
Well, that's the value of the car.
Get that out of your head. You paid $120. That's what he was supposed to pay you back. Is that right?
Right.
Did you pay your mother back?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Show me. Your husband received payment for the car, money order. Why didn't you cash it?
My boyfriend received that.
Boyfriend?
Yeah, and I wasn't home at the time.
Do you live there?
Yes.
Why didn't you cash the money order?
Because he didn't make me aware of it. The first I knew that there was a money order there was the day the police showed up to my house when he was claiming auto theft.
You mean you don't speak to your boyfriend?
Well, I work, he goes to school. There are days when we don't have words, yeah.
Well, but now you know about it, so where's the money order?
I have it.
Well, why don't you cash it then? You would have been paid. Now you know that he paid you on time.
Because there's a lot more to the story than that.
Just a minute. One thing at a time. He paid, as a matter of fact, the money order was for $151. So cash the money order and then you've been paid. That was your agreement with him, correct?
Right.
Fine.
He was supposed to pay for that car by April 2nd. It was to stay at my house parked. He had stolen license plates from Mike's Pinto and had put them on this car so he could drive it.
Well, that was terrible.
It was.
You shouldn't have done that.
Your Honor.
You shouldn't have driven the car. You had no license.
That's right.
Right?
Correct.
So, and that breached your agreement with your mother, right?
No, actually, my mother gave me permission to borrow the car.
Listen to me.
I'm sorry.
You have no license. Your mother cannot grant dispensation from state law, which says you require a license to drive. So there may be a lot more to it, but bottom line is, you lent him money for the car. That's what you were suing him for, not $1,500, because that's not what the car cost. And he's paid you.
So
you got your money back. Cash the money order.
Your Honor.
Now let's get to your counterclaim.
I think it's pertinent to address the issue of this whole reason she kept the car came and took the car from me and kept it. I got out of jail May 30th. The money wasn't originally due until April 2nd. She took the car, knew I didn't get paid until April 1st, took the car because I came forward and confessed that I knew that she asked me to help her plant drugs on my stepfather for a paternity case that she was losing, or felt she was losing.
Excuse me?
There is a custody issue with her and my stepfather.
Yes.
Over my brother.
How old is your brother?
He is 4 years old now.
Go ahead.
She asked me to help her get a stolen gun originally for her boyfriend, supposedly, that couldn't own a gun. And I said, why would he want a stolen gun? If he gets caught with it, it's even worse. So I said, what are you trying to do? She said, her husband, ex-husband, is winning the case. She feels he's wrongly winning. Help me get something that's a felony so I can get him to lose. And I helped her, and I'm ashamed of that.
How did you help her?
I called a friend that could help her get some drugs. And
what kind of drugs?
Methamphetamines.
And what'd you do with them?
They were delivered to her house. She paid for them.
Delivered to her house?
Yes. I called her the next day and said, I feel wrong about this. I can't send him to jail. I've gone to jail for stuff that I didn't do because of you. I don't want him to go to jail for this. And I came forward and told him. And she held the car against me, telling my brother, tell Brandon if he changes a statement in court that this is all a lie, that I didn't really do this, then I'll give your car back. And I haven't done so. And I located my car, went there to have it towed out of her witness's yard because I paid her for the money and extra money. I paid her the $25 she filed on me. She wanted me to repay her that. She told me, change your statement, pay me $150, which is $25 more than you actually owe me because I filed on you. It cost me $25, so pay me that.
Filed on you for what?
For the car.
You mean when she filed in small claims court?
Yeah, she wanted me to pay her that $25 back.
The fee?
Yeah, and I called the tow truck, went to go repossess my car out of the yard after it was paid for. The tow truck guy said that she won't let me on her property. I left, came back like 20 minutes later. The tow truck guy was pulling it out, said Stephanie told me to impound it as soon as I left. So they deliberately, out of spite, had it towed when I was there to remove it like 20 minutes before. This is all because I won't lie and say that she didn't do this.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeannie Dent says her son, Brandon Bowen, owes for the value of a car. Brandon says his mother asked him to frame her ex-husband.
Where's your $120 car?
It is at my house. I got it out of impound. I don't want the money for the car. I just wanted my car back, and I just wanted.
You have it now.
Yeah, I just wanted to pay for the damages. She kept, the lady that had the car, her witness, kept the key. The impound people had to unlock the door and take the ignition out, and all that has to be replaced. I have estimates how much that's going to cost.
Well, how much is it going to cost?
It's going to cost, just for the locks, not including the ignition, all the locks from Chet's Locksmith is going to be $367.
Forget it. Let me explain something to you. Okay. I'm not giving you, sir, 3 times the cost of the car to put in a new lock.
I don't want the process of the car. I just...
No, but you understand me? The whole car cost $120.
Yeah.
You think that I'm going to order her to pay $300 and how much?
$27.
$27 to put in a new lock? Forget it.
Okay.
Bottom line is, you got your money, you got your car.
Correct.
You don't like each other anymore.
I love my mom.
Well, it certainly doesn't sound like it to me. What were you in jail for, Mr. Bowen?
She alleged that I lived with her for a short period of time, and I was $50 short of paying half of her rent. She told me her new boyfriend doesn't like me. I had to leave because she had a doctor's appointment. I climbed back through my bedroom window. She came home and called the police, and her and my sister made up a story that we stole a bunch of stuff, which is not true, and I went to jail.
Just a minute. What did you go back to jail for recently in March?
That was to serve the last 4 days of the sentence for climbing through her window.
Were you the complainant on that case?
Yes, I was. He broke into my home.
I was living there at the
Which is
time.
just one of many things that have happened.
Why do you think that you would be entitled to $1,500?
Because that new contract was signed after constant badgering. He was calling my work, and every time that I would hang up on him, and he'd call back, he would hang up on my boss. My job was at risk. My boss said, this has got to stop.
That's not true.
And, and it was creating a problem for me. He was calling my house. You know, I'd get 7 phone calls,
child,
5 are hang-ups.
He's your child. He's your child.
Yeah.
And if you bought him a car for $120, and that's what all this fuss is about.
He's my child who's broken into my home, who's stolen money from me.
I don't understand it. Do you have drugs delivered to your house?
No. I did not. And I have a couple statements here. He wrote a statement first and says that the person I'm in this battle with, first he writes a statement and says that this person, Richard, is coercing him to write a statement in lieu of furniture. And he comes to me and tells me that, and I said, well, then maybe you should write that down. So he did, and I have that with me. Then he goes to Richard, the other person, and writes the statement. A couple days later, he's got furniture. Then he comes back and writes another statement and says, well, that was not true, and I recant all that, which I have also.
Sounds like you shouldn't get your child involved in your own domestic court situations, especially when the child is an adult child and doesn't have anything to do with the custody battle that you're currently involved in. Neither you or his stepfather should do that. In any event, you got your money, you got your car. Goodbye, good luck, be well.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Happy life.
He's a drug addict.
I can't believe that someone that was supposed to be my mother would actually sit here and do this and say things like this.
Enough is enough.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Foster Nelson versus Winders Burgess. Step forward, please.
17-year-old Anthony Nelson and his stepfather, 35-year-old pipefitter Scott Foster, are suing Anthony's former friend, 15-year-old James Burgess, and his mother, 41-year-old waitress Kim Winters. Anthony claims James took his quad runner without permission and flipped it.
What's your first name?
Anthony Nelson.
Well, that's your first and your second name. But it goes together. Anthony?
Yes, ma'am.
Anthony, you have some sort of a bike. What sort of bike is it?
It's a four-wheeler.
What's a four-wheeler?
It's a quad cab. It's like a motorcycle, but it's got four wheels.
When did you get that?
Early in January, or late January.
Do you ride it?
Yes, ma'am.
How did I know that? Did you ever have one as a child?
I had motorcycles. They didn't have them back then.
But as soon as you saw it, you had to have it.
Oh, yes.
For your son. Right? You understand that?
Yeah.
All right. Just I don't know if I'm disturbing you.
It's a guy. No. Three-letter word for insect.
Gotcha. According to your complaint, Anthony, the defendant, this young man, was with you one day, and you were with some other people who also had fathers who wanted these four-wheelers, who bought them for their children. And the defendant, without your permission, got on the bike, rode it, had an accident with it, and damaged it. You want him to pay, or his mother to pay. That's what this case is about.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not exactly sure what your defense is. That he gave you permission to ride it, and the cost of fixing it was too much, but I'll get to it in a second. How many boys were you out riding with?
There was four of us all together, ma'am.
How many boys had bikes?
The defendant had a motorcycle, and the rest of us had four-wheelers.
So tell me what happened.
We got out of school early, and a couple of my friends and me, we wanted to go for a ride. It seemed like a nice day. We were out riding for a couple hours, and we decided to go take a break.
Was James with you at the time?
Yes, ma'am. He was one of us that was riding with us. We went back to Michael's house, my friend, to take a break. We were in his driveway talking, and the defendant got on my four-wheeler and took off in reverse without asking my permission to get on it. And we ran out after him, but he was already too far out, and you couldn't hear us because of the motor. And by then, he hit the back brake and locked up the axle and flipped the four-wheeler over. We ran out to see if he was all right. We picked the four-wheeler up, looked over it. We talked about it a little bit. He said, all right, I'll pay for the damages, and we'll go and call RTD, that's the dealership. We'll call RTD and see how much it is, and we'll handle it from there.
What parts were damaged?
The plastic was all scratched up. The front steering column was bent. The whole brake assembly was ruined. We had to replace that. It wasn't rideable. You couldn't ride it.
So you got an estimate?
Yes, ma'am.
From the place where you would purchase the bike?
Yes.
Can I see the estimate, please?
Here's the letter stating that it was in brand new condition. Here's the repair order. And here's what I actually bought so that we could continue to ride it.
Entire cost of repairing the bike is $918?
Yes, ma'am.
What's $1,027.11?
That was for my time off of work. I took a day off, or half day off when I figured we were going to court, and my labor's a lot cheaper than theirs.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear you.
Ma'am, I did have permission to ride the four-wheeler, We were all sitting in the driveway. We were standing talking around. Mike just got back from riding it. Mike took it down the road, come back. I go, Anthony, can I ride it? He goes, hold on 1 minute, let it cool down. A few minutes later, I asked him. He said yes. I was backing down the driveway. I hit the rear brake, and a four-wheeler came back. I jumped to the side of the four-wheeler.
You damaged the bike, right?
Yes.
So why shouldn't you pay for it?
I feel it was equal responsibility on both parts.
Why is that?
I've had people blow my stuff up. I got a YZ 125 in '96, and I've had people blow it up, and I've always replaced everything anybody else.
Then you're a good guy. But if you borrow somebody's car and you wreck it, and unless there's insurance that covers it, it's your responsibility.
Yes.
The fact that he said that you could drive it doesn't relieve you of that responsibility. You want to say something?
Yes. The main reason we're here is from the discrepancy in what was supposed to be wrong with the four-wheeler. They went to my house, they called RTD, said it was just the clutch lever or brake lever, and it was $87.
They called and said, this looks like it's wrong with the bike, right?
Yes.
And they said, well, if that's all that's wrong with the bike, and it's $87.
Yes.
But clearly when they took the bike down there...
Can I say one more thing?
Sure, there turned out to be a lot more damage to the bike.
He came to my house, the father and the son came to my house a few weeks afterwards with an estimate of $400 and some. And he said, your son did this, will you pay it? And I said, what happened to the $87? And he got mad, upset, and I said, no, I won't pay the $400 and whatever dollars it was. So he went to go out of my driveway. He threatened my son.
He threatened to beat my... His exact words. He goes, your ass is beat.
He threatened my son, and
that's not
good. At that time, it was $400, $400 and some odd dollars.
Did you ever give them an estimate of $400 some odd
No,
dollars?
I did not, ma'am. I walked to her door to ask her to pay this damages, and her exact words. Sorry.
That's
I'm a little upset.
That's not what I'm asking you. She said that you showed her a bill at one point for $400.
No, ma'am. She wouldn't even look at it. That's the actual estimate I gave her. She wouldn't even look at it.
Well, this is dated March the 2nd, which
Correct.
is shortly after the accident.
Correct.
He must have went and got that after he left my house. What he brought to my house was $400 and some.
What date did he come to your house?
You know what it was?
I'm not exactly sure what date he come to my house, but all the kids at school knew it was $427. And then we got the statement in the mail that was that $900. It's like $1,027.
Okay. Has the bike been fixed?
I fixed the steering part so that we could ride it.
And how much did you spend on the steering?
You have the paperwork
Is that
up
the
there?
second bill?
Yes, ma'am.
$219?
Yes, I believe that's what it was.
All right. And the rest of it has not been done?
No, ma'am.
That's very, very easy. I'm entering an initial order of $219.73. And what you folks will do, since you all live in the same neighborhood, is we'll pick a date. You all go down to RTD Motorsports and satisfy yourself what the bill is. I will enter a maximum order in the amount of $918 to be held until the both of you go down and satisfy yourself what the bill is. Do you understand? Does that sound fair to you? I mean, no, it doesn't sound fair to you. He says he had permission. It's his responsibility. He wrecked the bike. And if he wants to be a good guy and take care of it when other people wreck his bikes, that's up to you. You wreck this one, it's your responsibility. The only difference is the cost of repair. And I don't think that you can exaggerate the cost of repair. You actually spent $219, that you get. Then 5 days from today, you boys make arrangements with your parents, if necessary, to go down to RTD Motors, see what it's going to cost to fix the bike for a maximum of total $918, and then the court will enter judgment in that amount. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that sound reasonable to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Court will draft the order. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yes, case number 246 on the calendar in the matter of Potters versus Wells. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Ms. Potter, the defendant is your former husband.
Yes, ma'am.
And your claim is for two things. First, you claim that he filed a report to Child Protective Services causing you some stress.
Yes, ma'am.
The second has to do with an income tax bill that emanated from the time that you and the defendant were married, that you're paying.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Wells says that he was concerned about his daughter. You have a daughter together.
Yes, we do.
And he doesn't deny that he called Child Protective Services.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And that he pays child support, so the tax bill is yours.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
So let's deal with those two things. Ms. Potter, When were you married and when were you divorced?
We were married May of 1996, separated in December of 99, legally divorced January of 2001.
And when was your daughter born?
She was born August 19th, 1997.
And you have visitation with your daughter?
Yes, ma'am, on the weekends.
And you pay child support?
Yes, I do, diligently.
Now, Mr. Wells, when did you call in a report to Child Protective Services and why, sir?
It was about a month ago. I noticed a change in my child's demeanor, calling me during the night, crying, saying that she did not want to be there anymore, that it was a bad place to live, they were being mean to her, which I've heard before. Taking that she's 7, probably some discipline going on over there, so you try to take that in, you know, to occurrence. But after a week of this, and even in the mornings, I heard her and her mother arguing, and the child terribly upset before she went to school. So then that following weekend, she tells me that this gentleman over here had beat her with a belt. That,
Who is this? This is my boyfriend.
All right. Which really concerned me. Did a flip on that one, that he had took some pictures of her in her room. So I called Child Services, and I spoke with the lady, and I haven't caused them any grief in the time they've been together, haven't, you know, interfered in their lives. And so after explaining this to the Child Services, they felt like that I should file a complaint with them. You know, and that, needless to say, leaving the child alone at the bus stop, getting off at the bus, wandering around the neighborhood for a half an hour unsupervised, sitting on the front porch waiting in the afternoon for 15 to 20 minutes at a time without no supervision. All of these concerns came out in that.
Okay, but primarily you called because of the photographs that your daughter told you were taken
Absolutely.
of her, and the fact that she said that this gentleman disciplined her with a belt.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Okay. What's your name?
It's Rob Brialt, ma'am.
Step up. Last name?
Brialt.
How long have you and Miss Potter been together, Mr. Brialt?
About a year and a half now.
And you live together?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have children?
Yes, I do. 3 of them.
And where do they live?
They live with their mom in Colorado.
And where do you and Miss Potter live?
In Cary, North Carolina.
Did you ever discipline Miss Potter's daughter?
Just once, ma'am.
And tell me about that incident.
My children were visiting me for approximately about 5 weeks, and all the girls were up in one room sleeping, or supposedly sleeping, and they're right above the TV room, you know, where we're watching TV, and you can hear them talk and all that, and yell up there a couple times, you know, go to sleep, girls, it's getting late, go to sleep. Since the 2 of mine were obviously up there, and they're acting up, I went up there with the belt, and, you know, spanked them, slapped, you know, give them a hit on the rear end, you know, to the 2 of my girls, and it would be only fair to the other 2 to not play favorites with Tatum. So she got it as well. And then they all quieted down and they all went to sleep.
Might I add, it was a swat. She didn't even cry. It wasn't a spanking.
Miss Potter.
Okay, sorry.
That's really not an issue that's before me. Okay. What's before me is your claim that he called Child Protective Services without a basis. So that's what I'm trying to get to.
Okay.
Then there's an issue of photographing your daughter. Mm-hmm. Now tell me about that. Have you photographed your daughter in her room?
What led up to that? Tatum was supposed to be upstairs cleaning her room. I yelled up, Tatum, are you cleaning your room? Yes, Mommy. So Rob's like, well, we'll see. He took this phone, a camera phone, you know, most of them have it. He peeked around the stairs, snapped her sitting on the floor playing when she's supposed to be cleaning her room, came downstairs, downloaded on the computer, showed me, Tatum, come down here right now. She came down. I'm all, remember, Mommy always says she has eyes in the back of her head. I can see everything you're doing. What's this? She looks at it. I'm like, you weren't cleaning your room. She's like I'm busted. You
Nothing
know?
terribly wrong with taking a picture and saying, listen, the picture, this speaks 1,000 words, you weren't cleaning your room. But as it's relayed to her father, that doesn't sound good. Do you understand?
You're absolutely right. Tatum came home one weekend from his house, said, Dad's going to call Child Services or something on you. I'm like, what? And she's all, yeah, and she told me why. So I get on the phone, I'm like, what are you going to do? Tatum's telling me you're going to do this. And he's like, yeah, I have a concern, my daughter. I'm like, that's a very good concern. This is what happened.
Miss Potter, let me dispose of the first part of your claim. And I want you also...
Yes, ma'am.
So listen carefully, Mr. Wells. Is this your only child?
Yes, ma'am, it is. Or I beg your pardon, I do have an older son in California.
How old?
13 years old.
Little girls sometimes are manipulative.
Absolutely.
And let me dispose of Mr. Brialt first so that he can sit down. Never discipline her child with an implement. Shouldn't discipline her child anything other than with words anyway. But you have no right to discipline her child with a belt. Period. End of discussion. You're not even her stepfather. You have no relationship to this child at all. And the fact that you wanted to be fair because you were disciplining your children, and so you wanted to be fair and your children shouldn't be angry with you, so you disciplined our child, that's ridiculous. Because there are other ways of telling the 3 little girls who were upstairs playing to be quiet because they were interfering with your television time, other than taking a belt and going upstairs and hitting them. We understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Sit down. He hasn't assumed the legal responsibility in any way to your daughter. Even when he does, I wouldn't let him discipline my daughter corporally, but certainly not as long as he's just your boyfriend. What kind of commitment is that?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You are a deadbeat with regard to either this child or your son.
I wouldn't call it a deadbeat.
Deadbeat doesn't pay child support as directed. That's a deadbeat.
And later today,
she came up and told me that she was pregnant, and I told her that how could you be pregnant when, we've been using, protection.
Who was using the protection?
I was.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Angela Potter says ex-husband Michael Wells maliciously filed false charges with Child Protective Services. Angela also says Michael owes for back taxes.
So when his daughter complained to him that she was hit with a belt, that was true. And as a non-custodial parent, because he has visitation, and he's concerned that A, some stranger in the house is hitting my child with a belt, and the mother isn't doing anything about it, and the same stranger is taking pictures of her in her bedroom, because that's the way it's presented.
Right.
He has a legitimate complaint. And I do not find that he maliciously called Child Protective Services, because you've been separated since 1999. This is 5 years later. Is this the first time he's called Child Protective Services?
Yes, ma'am.
And he had a reason to do it.
But...
And I don't care whether you explained it to him or not. You can't explain to him satisfactorily that this man took a belt to your daughter. There's no satisfactory explanation for that.
Okay.
Now let's get to number 2. Let's get to the tax returns. Can I see the tax bill that you got with regard to the taxes owed?
Well, here's the whole statement from 1998.
It's just a retaliation suit, ma'am, is all. She threatened, as soon as Child Protection Services was contacted her, she called
Mr. Wells.
Yes, ma'am.
Listen to me very carefully, my friend.
Yes, ma'am.
Was the first part of my judgment fair to you?
Yes, ma'am.
So you think I'm a fair lady?
Yes, I do.
I don't care whether it's in retaliation or not. If she's been paying off your debt, I'm going to find out why.
Okay.
Well, this says, sir, at the time when you were still married and still together, there was a deficiency in your tax returns of almost $9,000. How much of it did you pay?
I haven't paid any of it.
Why?
Because all my tax returns goes to child support. It's mandated by the state. They take my tax returns and apply it towards state arrears in child support.
Just a second. So what you're telling me is that they take your tax refunds because you were a deadbeat father with regard to your child support, either for this child or another child.
During the arbitration of the separation, yes. I did go a period of time because Ms. Potter had...
You are a deadbeat with regard to either this child or your son.
I wouldn't call it a deadbeat.
Deadbeat doesn't pay child support as directed. That's a deadbeat.
Well, it wasn't paid until mandated by the court, ma'am, and then it has been paid every month since then for the last 5 years.
Well, arrears suggest, Mr. Wells, that the state has determined that you owed money for one child or two.
For 2 children, I paid.
For both children. So I'm going to ask you the next question, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you start to pay her and say, listen, we have $9,000 that we owed. Clearly, half of that is mine because we were married and filed jointly. So what you're telling me is you decided that she's got to get stuck with this tax bill. Is that what you're telling me?
No, ma'am. I just thought that $9,000 was strong for one tax we filed together 1 year.
So?
And she hasn't, applied me with any documentation, hasn't contacted me.
Here, just a second. Here you go. I want him to have the documentation.
Absolutely.
Take a look.
$8,881.
That's what it says.
All right.
So, since you filed those taxes, since you were living together, were you working at that time, Mr. Wells?
Yes, ma'am, as a subcontractor at that point.
Very good. And what were you doing?
I was an executive assistant for a recruiting firm.
Okay. And so far you've paid about $7,100.
Yes, these
and
are...
there's, right, I see it. And there's still $2,030 owed.
Penalties and interest, pretty much.
Mr. Wells, the defense that you have to this, as I indicated before, because I've read it, your defense is, as far as our taxes, my wife filed our taxes and they are in her name. That's
Yes,
what you
ma'am.
swore to. Internal Revenue Service says that you filed married filing jointly,
Absolutely.
so that is incorrect.
Yes, ma'am, it was.
You were
But that was the
incorrect.
first time I'd seen that piece of paper right there.
Good. Well, I'm glad that you saw the piece of paper, Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Wells, because you owe her $4,500. That's half the tax bill and penalties. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Miss Potter tries to get every little bit of money out of me she can. She always has.
All he had to do is pay out the tax. He didn't want to do that, so look what it cost him in the end.
As far as me and Miss Potter, we will not have any kind of relationship whatsoever.
You just can't reason with him.
Just as long as the well-being of my daughter's taken care of.
I do the best I can as a single mom.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Stevens versus Stokes, step forward, please.
Bus driver Joseph Stevens is suing his ex-girlfriend, 25-year-old service representative Ginger Stokes, for the return of child support.
According to your complaint, you and Miss Stokes had a relationship. I don't know what kind of relationship, and Miss Stokes became pregnant. She took you to court for child support because at that time you were no longer in a relationship. You began paying child support for this child, a boy or a girl?
Boy.
And then you discovered that the child was not yours.
Yes, ma'am.
Biologically. So you want the support payments back that you gave to the defendant.
Yes.
Mr. Stevens, when were you and Miss Stokes in a relationship?
Around December 2000.
Until when?
About April or June between 2002.
2002 or 2001?
2001, I'm sorry.
During that time, did you live together?
Well, at that time, she was having problems at her house. So she asked, can she come stay with me? And she came and stayed with me for a little while.
What's a little while?
It was no more than like 2-3 months.
Okay. When did she tell you she was pregnant?
She told me she was pregnant around about April.
What did she tell you?
She came up and told me that she was pregnant, and I told her that, how could you be pregnant when, we've been using, protection. And then...
Who was using the protection?
I was.
Did you see her during her pregnancy?
No.
Did she call you when the baby was born?
Yeah, she had called my mother's house. She had called me at the time that she was in the hospital and kept telling my mom for me to come up there to see the baby.
Did you go up to see the baby?
No, ma'am.
Why not, Mr. Stevens?
Because I felt as though that the baby, wasn't mine. And I just didn't want to go up there.
Did there come a time when you went to see the baby?
No.
Did there come a time that you were notified that they were taking some money from your paycheck?
No, the only time I found out is whenever I got a letter from her going down to the courthouse.
When did you go down to seek child support?
The beginning of 2003.
How old was the baby?
He was 6-7 months.
Is there any reason you waited to seek child support until the baby was 6 or 7 months old?
Yes. He at one point did come and we were talking on the phone and said that he would like us to be together, that he wanted us, the three of us, to be together, that he felt that that was his child. At the time, I had finally met somebody else and I didn't want to be with him. And after that, he wasn't coming around, he wasn't doing anything. I needed to go for child support.
Now, Ms. Stokes, how much money did you receive from Mr. Stevens after the court fixed a child support order?
A little over $800.
Is that right, Mr. Stevens?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Stevens, I'd like you to tell me how ultimately this mystery was unraveled and you determined that this child was not yours.
Well, the job that me and her used to work at, there was people there telling me that, she was up there saying that the baby wasn't mine.
So you heard from sources that this child might not be yours, but you already knew that, Mr. Stevens.
Yes,
I mean, you already knew, based upon your use of protection, that there was at least a possibility that this child wasn't yours, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, there was already a child support order in place, Mr. Stevens, is that right?
Yes.
Now, as an old family court practitioner, I know that you were served with a notice to appear in the family court on the issue of paternity, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you didn't go,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Why not?
Well, at the time, I was having a problem with my other 3 kids. And by that time, I was practically scared to go to the court.
You were scared to go to the court because?
I figured that I might have had a warrant or something like that.
Because you weren't paying child support.
Yes, at that time, because I wasn't working that much.
I'm glad you added that much. If you're going to make all these babies, Mr. Stevens, then you better get a lot of jobs.
Yes, ma'am.
Not work part-time. If you work part-time, you got all this energy. So you decided to blow off court, and they issued a default judgment against you, declared you to be the father. If you had gone to court immediately and said, listen, I want a blood test, they would have taken a blood test and they would have said, you're off the hook on this one.
But at that time, when I wanted to get a paternity test, I even talked to her about it. She kept telling me that Dad's not going to be able to do it, and you might have to pay for it out of your pocket.
Better off paying for it out of your pocket, sir, a couple of $100 than pay for the 21 years, right?
Yes.
You can't be short-sighted. You don't have any children together?
No.
Do you have children?
Yes, I do.
How many children do you have?
3.
So between you have 6 children?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that enough?
Oh.
Plenty.
Plenty, right? Plenty. 6 children. Now you're working full-time?
Yes.
Good. What kind of work do you do?
School bus driver.
Well, you must like children. Okay. How much did they take out of your pay, Mr. Stevens?
$842 altogether.
$842?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Miss Stokes, did we finally come up with a daddy for your baby?
Yes.
Is there a paternity proceeding pending, or has one been
No.
finalized?
No.
Why not?
So I have no idea where he is, and I don't want to pursue it because he's my son and he's my world, and I'm going to take care of him regardless.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $842. Thank you.
Why does that excuse you?
Yeah, this is case number 566 on the calendar, the matter of Huckabee versus Fierro. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Huckabee, you own a cleaning company, and I gather that you hire people either as employees or as independent contractors. You get calls from other folks who want either their homes or their businesses cleaned. You send out your employees.
Yes.
They clean the house. You get a certain percentage of the money, and they get the rest. Is that what happens?
Yes.
It is your claim that you retained Miss Fierro, and she was with you for a relatively short period of time. And you claim that when she left, she went around to customers of yours, people who had been using your company for a long period of time, and slandered you to those people.
Yes.
Ms. Fierro says that she did not slander you at all. She merely went to your customers, and she told them that if they wanted to, they could use her to clean instead of going through you. How long have you been in business?
9 months.
What did you do before that?
The same industry. I was a district manager for another janitorial firm.
Do you have full-time employees in your company?
Yes, I do.
Was Miss Fierro one of those employees?
Yes, she was.
And when did she start working for you?
December 6th of 2004.
And how much was she paid? Because she has a counterclaim, and her counterclaim is for her last week's wages.
Her initial starting wage was $8 per hour.
Is that so far correct, Ms. Fierro?
False.
When did you start working for them?
I started working for him December 9th.
He says the 6th. You say the 9th.
Okay, it was the 9th.
Fine. You say you started working December 9th.
Yes.
And you were paid how much per hour?
He told me he was going to pay me $10 an hour.
I originally, when I hired her, I offered her a training wage because, as a discretionary procedure, you offer someone a lower wage, and then as they progress and you see their job performance, then you offer the option to move up from there. Essentially, $10 an hour is my top wage that I pay my employees. I never have ever started anybody at the top dollar wage per hour. So her wage was $8 an hour from day one.
Is she paid by the week?
Her pay periods were going to be weekly.
How many weeks did she work for you?
She quit on January 6th, so approximately 4 weeks.
So the first week's salary that she got was for how many hours?
Her approximate wage...
Just a second. Just to answer my question, Mr. Huckabee. My question is the first week she came to work for you.
I want to say approximately 32 hours.
No, not I don't want to hear approximately.
32 hours.
And what was her check that you gave her?
Well, I tried to pay her through a payroll service. When she initially started, I gave her the entire hiring packet, and she was not willing to fill those out.
Tell me how much you paid her the first week.
$425 was for the first 2 weeks that I paid her.
So the first week she worked 32 hours, and the second week she worked how many hours? I'm trying to figure out.
32.
So she worked 64 hours.
Yes.
Is that what you have, Miss Fierro?
No.
How many hours did you work?
Okay, I work over 60 hours.
Well, that's what he says. He said you worked 64 hours. Pay attention.
Okay, 64 hours in 2 weeks.
That's exactly what he said. Pay attention.
Okay.
And if he worked 64 hours in 2 weeks and you were paid $425.
But I was not paid that amount.
How much were you paid?
Okay, $560 for the 2 weeks.
Okay.
But he paid me cash.
Just a sec.
Okay, Judge.
Quiet.
After the first week, I moved her wage up.
Quiet. Now, if she worked 64 hours, she certainly didn't make $640. So I'm going to find that I agree with you that as a trainee, she was making $8 an hour. So what you started to say to me was the first week she was paid $8 and the second week she was paid $10. Is that what you're telling me?
I want to say I moved her to 9, and then I gradually moved her to 10.
Okay, I buy that. Ms. Fierro, that's what I find, madam. Not that he agreed to pay you 10. All right. What happened in January when she left?
Well, throughout the course of the first month, her initial solicitation for employment, she came to me as an employee to be put on my payroll. I essentially gave her a payroll hire packet to go through my payroll service. For the first week, I contacted her every day to request the documentation back so she could be on the payroll service. Then after the first week, I was with her at one of the actual houses that she was taking care of for me, and she just, I don't know if she slipped or if she just decided to confide in me that she owned her own janitorial business. Well, had I known that from day one...
Put your papers down, Ms. Fierro.
Had I known that from day one, that's a conflict of interest, and that could have been very detrimental to me hiring another competitor to do my business.
Of course.
But at the time, my wife was in her third trimester. We were unable to meet our needs for our clientele, so I was stuck.
How many employees did you have at that time?
Just her. The employee that I had was quitting.
So your whole company is one employee?
I had another employee that was training her at the time.
So you had 2 employees?
Yes, when she was hired, yes. She was one of 2.
And the other employee was leaving?
Yes.
So then you were going to have 1 employee?
Yes.
That's her?
Yes.
Now I got it. Okay. So you let her go, or she decided to leave in January?
Yes. After the fact, I found out that she was an independent contractor. She had her own janitorial business, the whole 9 yards, same thing as us. Being in a critical state, though, I was unable to, let her go. She already knew my accounts. I needed to continue business. I said, okay, we're going to switch it. You're going to be 1099'd. Here's a 1099 form. I handed it to her. I said, this is what you're going to need for documentation so I can pay you and that we're legal within the, the tax system. She said, okay, I will get it back to you. Well, over the course of the next 3 weeks that led up to January 6th, she continued to make excuses of why she wasn't returning the paperwork back to me.
She lost the papers.
So finally, upon January...
Is that right, Ms. Fierro?
No, it's not right.
I believe him.
I have the papers
I
here.
believe him. I don't care whether you have the papers there. You never got them back to him.
I did not, my honor, because I only worked for him 5 days.
Just a second. Are you telling me now that you only worked for him 5 days?
Yes.
Listen to me very carefully, madam. I don't think you would know the truth if he came up and slapped you in the face. You just said to me not more than 5 minutes ago that he paid you $560, right?
Yes.
That's what you told me he paid you. That's far more than for 5 days. Then you have a counterclaim, and your counterclaim says that he didn't pay you for your last week's wages, $625. So how could you have worked for him only 5 days?
My honor, this is cleaning the church. That's just the church, what he has me here for.
We have her here for everything.
They have you here for everything, madam. You just told me you only worked for him for 5 days. Why didn't you get the paperwork back to him?
Because they never asked for it.
You mean that they gave you the paperwork?
Yes, they did.
Look at me. They gave you the paperwork, and what did you think you were supposed to do with the paperwork? Decorate your bathroom with it?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That doesn't answer my question, Miss Fierro. That's a lot of double talk that you're giving me from somebody who doesn't understand English too well, according to him. You understand English very well, and you write it just fine.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Cleaning business owners Brian and Monica Huckabee claim former employee Lilia Fierro owes for slander, stealing cleaning supplies, and breaking a vacuum cleaner. Lilia claims the Huckabees owe her money.
I don't like people who come into court and don't tell the truth.
My honor.
You are not telling me the truth.
My honor, I have the proofs here. Do you want to see them?
I want to know, madam, why is it that you didn't give him back the paperwork that he gave you?
Because he told me he didn't need them.
I told her I didn't need the payroll company service because I found out she was an independent contractor, so I needed a 1099.
1099.
Form. So that's what
Here
I
are the
didn't get
papers
back.
that he gave me.
I don't need them.
I have my
Miss Fierro, Miss Fierro, put it down. Miss Fierro plays a little free and loose with the truth.
My Honor.
How long have you been in the cleaning business?
15 years.
Am I correct that you run a business that's similar to Mr. Huckabee's? You provide cleaning services for people?
Yes, I do.
So why did you go to work for Mr. Huckabee?
Because I'm a single mother and I have a boy that goes to the university and I didn't have a car. I had an accident and he knew about it. That's why I was working part-time after cleaning my houses during the day.
Your Honor, the car thing, she had a pickup ever since day one.
That's my son's car.
She came to us asking for a vehicle.
Yeah.
All
She
right.
came to us.
Just a second.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what proof do you have that she went to your customers and slandered you to your customers? I do not take letters, sir.
Okay.
Do you have a customer here?
Well, I
Is
do.
this a
I have a
customer?
witness here, and the witness is an actual individual contractor, as myself. He was there on the premises at one of my specific accounts on the days that she was going to solicit and steal my business away.
Just a second. Solicit and steal your business away, sir, is not the same thing as slander. You do understand that?
Yes, I understand.
Okay. Step up, sir. Tell me your name.
Stephen Tidwell.
Do you remember what date, if at all, you saw Miss Fierro?
Yes, ma'am. It was January 31st. I was there doing billing, getting POs when I was...
Where were you?
It's one of Mr. Huckabee's accounts.
And you were there because you also do work for them?
Yes, on a construction company. We did some wiring, some stuff in there.
Did you see Miss Fierro?
Yes, I did.
Were you there when she had a conversation
Yes,
with...
I was.
What did you hear her say?
I didn't hear the beginning of the conversation. I was in the back talking to the building management. She walked up. At that time, the front desk lady came back and grabbed me and asked me to go up to the front and listen, make sure nothing happened. From what I did hear, Mrs. Fierro was complaining, arguing, saying she wants money.
She was complaining?
Her English isn't that good, ma'am.
Her English is just fine.
Okay. She was complaining about not being paid, that she wants the company to pay her. The lady kept saying, you got to go back to Mr. Huckabee to get paid. It's not her problem. Ms. Fierro kept going on and on. Finally, the office manager said, you got to leave. I will have the authorities get a hold of you or come down. Mrs. Fierro left. Office manager came back. We had a little bit of conversation about what went on, which is on that part's hearsay, but I guess she's been there before and did the same thing.
That's all you heard?
Just
not
the fact.
slander, Mr. Huckabee?
Well, I guess aside from that, it's just a handwritten letter from Mrs. Fierro to one of my accounts that is, is...
Oh, just a second. If you have a letter by Miss Fierro to one of your accounts in her handwriting, that I'll read.
Okay.
I'd like
and
to
also
see it.
attached
I'd like
is...
to see it.
These here are what my accounts received on a weekly basis. It is her business card, a copy of her business license, and apparently a voided check when she was trying to solicit the business and take it away. And then this here is the handwritten letter by her.
You don't have a non-compete clause in the contract?
No, ma'am. I do not. It's just
Well,
it's a good faith.
There's no such thing as good faith without a non-compete clause, sir.
Correct. And in that...
Shh. Well, it's clear to me that she was trying to take your business away, sir.
Might I add a couple more issues just for food for thought?
Go ahead.
She also went to my place of worship, my church, and she, on probably 7 separate incidences, she went to my particular pastor and demanded that he call me and have a personal, I guess, spiritual visit with me to pay my dues to Mrs. Fierro. And
Well, pay your dues. What I gather was in dispute is $225 because you offered to give her, according to what I've read in the complaints and the answer, $400 to settle all claims. Is that right?
$400 was...
Just to answer my question.
Yes.
And she would not accept it. She said you owed her $625. So the dispute here is involving $225.
No, ma'am. The dispute is involving actually $8,400 because the damage is done by Mrs. Fierro.
I'm not talking to you, sir, about your claim. I'm talking about her claim.
Her claim, yes, ma'am, $400.
Is about $225 because you offered her $400. She said, I'm not taking it. I want $625.
Actually, I offered her $420, so it's $205.
And when did you offer her $420?
$420 was on January the 9th. I was at her front door with the local police department trying to have her initially sign a receipt, the necessary W-9 form, and to hand over her payment and to obtain our personal equipment and cleaning supplies back.
She had your equipment?
She still does.
Yes, she still does.
You still have his equipment?
Yeah, because I asked him to come and get it at my house, and he never came by.
We came with the police department, and the police, of course, they tried to do the peaceful transaction, and she wasn't willing to comply, and they told us to go home. Cleaning supplies, a step ladder, and just miscellaneous, janitorial equipment, rags, dusters, toilet brushes, and so forth.
What's all that stuff worth?
I estimate $75.
Do you think it's right that you wrote to his accounts and told them that you could provide a service as good as his?
No, okay, what I was doing, is that when I call him, see, he has a restraining order in Bakersfield court office before all this happened. And then when I was served, I asked him, I said, why do I need to go to court with a restraining order if you are the one that owes me money? And he said, because you don't have to go to the accounts that you were cleaning for me, because they had been told that if
Why
they see
did you go to his... Listen, he got a restraining order for a reason. I'm asking you a question, Ms. Fierro.
Okay.
Why did you write to his accounts, go to his accounts, and tell them, here is my business card.
Okay.
I'm licensed. I can do the same work. Why did you, from a moral standpoint, go to his accounts?
Because I wanted to talk to them, and they never wanted to talk to me.
Wanted to talk to them about what?
About what he had said to me on the phone. Do not even go to the accounts, because they had been told that if they see you, to call the police on you.
Because they're my account.
That doesn't answer my question, Ms. Fierro. My question to you, madam, is he hired you. You got a list of his clients because he hired you, so you knew who his clients were.
Okay.
You think that it's right for you, after you quit the job, to go to his accounts to try to get his accounts to use you as a cleaning service. Do you think that that's right?
No, it's not right.
So why did you do it?
I did it because, see, he had stayed all the time that he was offering me pay, that he said he was going to pay me as a contractor, pay me as an employee, and does he has the proofs that, you know, that he can show it to you that he paid me? Because I don't think any company will pay cash.
That doesn't answer my question, Ms. Fierro. That's a lot of double talk that you're giving me from somebody who doesn't understand English too well, according to him. You understand English very well, and you write it just fine. And what I'm asking you, madam, is did you think it was right to go to his clients and try to steal them away?
No, I was not trying to steal them away.
All right, your counterclaim is dismissed, Ms. Fierro. If he owed you $400, you should have taken it, because you're not getting a penny from me. But neither, sir. I'm speaking. I think you're very smart. I don't think that there's anything not smart about you. I think that, put your hand down. I think that this was a nasty thing that you did to somebody, to go and try to take their customers away, to tell them, I can do the same kind of job from you. Here's my business card, here's my license, here's my check. He doesn't have a company, he doesn't have separate checking. I mean, these are all things that you wrote to a customer of his. They're really not nice. And you went to his customers, not the right, I'm speaking, not the right moral thing to do. But you don't have a case against her, sir. Do you understand? She is able to do that unless you have a non-compete clause.
Well, I guess...
And you have no proof.
Just the defamation of character, the things that she was going along saying...
Listen to me. You have no proof of that, sir.
No.
Other than you already testified. And nothing in your testimony, sir, was
just the tone
slanderous.
of her voice, though. If it
I don't
takes them
care
to come
about her
get
tone.
me.
Listen to me. I don't care about her tone of voice. Nothing in the words, in the substance of the words that you allege to have overheard is slanderous.
But for them to come get me...
Don't listen to me.
Okay.
Don't answer me back. This is not a give and take.
Okay.
This is, you answer my questions, I rule on your testimony, and that's it. You don't have a case for slander.
But, Your Honor, in turn, I had to be able to maintain a business and the livelihood for my wife and my small child, I had to turn over a month and a half of free service for the damages that she did, and that's why I'm here
Sir, you
today.
haven't proven the damages.
The damages are just her visits.
You haven't proven the damages. You need a witness who would testify that she came to their establishment and she said things about you that were not true, as a result of which they either switched from your company to hers or stopped using your company. You don't have that witness. The fact that you took measures to keep your clients doesn't obviate the fact that there is a big gap, that central gap of proof, because this is a court.
Right.
Court needs proof. You don't have it.
Okay.
You got it?
Got it.
Is she out of your life now?
I hope so.
Perfect. Very good. Case is dismissed, and so is your counterclaim. You did the wrong thing.
Parties other versus Witt. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Ms. Wilder, according to your complaint, you bought a bicycle for your son.
Yes.
And that bicycle was stolen off of your front porch.
Yes.
Several months later, the defendant's son was seen riding a bike that looked as if it was the same bike as had been stolen.
Right.
And it was later ascertained that it was, in fact, your bike.
Yes.
You want the defendant to pay for the cost of the repairs there were to the bike. The defendant says that her boyfriend purchased the bike for her son from a neighbor. She had absolutely no idea it was stolen. And she is counterclaiming, claiming that you have slandered her in the neighborhood by calling her a thief, family, thieves. Child has heard those kinds of comments that she says started with you.
Yes.
On what date was the bicycle stolen?
It was about 2 weeks after Christmas.
So sometime
of this
in
year.
January.
Yes.
And when, for the first time, was the defendant's son seen riding the bike?
The 24th of March of this year.
Are you neighbors?
Yes. We live a block away.
All right. Who first saw her son on the bike?
A neighbor of ours had first seen her son on the bike, and I was not at home at the time when the bike was brought to my fiance's attention, but he could explain that better than I could.
Go ahead. Tell me your last name.
Ruth, R-U-T-H, Stephen Ruth.
Go ahead.
Yes, it was on March 24th. It was
That I
about-
know. Tell me how you saw the bike.
It was in the morning, and a friend of mine, Dennis, brought the bike up to my front door, and he said, "Doesn't this look like Timmy's bike?" And I looked at it, and I said, "Well, yeah, that could be," but it had been changed so much that I couldn't tell at that time. So I took the serial number down, and then later on, when Sherry came home, we matched the numbers up, and they matched up with the receipt that she had. And so we went back over there, and she wouldn't answer the door. And then finally she answered the door and said that could we settle it the next day? And I said no, that I'm going to go call the police. So we called the police and went over there with the police. And the police checked the number, and they said, yeah, that's the bike.
Okay. And it was returned to you?
Yes.
Yes, that day.
Okay. Miss Witt, how did that bike come to be in your son's possession?
We gave it to him for his birthday, which
And where
was
did you
March
get it
23rd.
from? You didn't buy it. Your boyfriend bought it.
Right.
Is your boyfriend here today?
Yes, he is, Bob Smith.
Step up, please. Mr. Smith, where did you get this bicycle from?
I bought the bike from Kirk.
Kirk.
Kirk. Me.
From this gentleman here.
Yes.
When did you purchase it?
What date was it? February 22nd.
Tell me how it came about that you purchased the bike.
Cortland had mentioned that he would wanted a certain type of bike, you know, on his birthday. So I had to ask Kirk if he knew anybody that had a bike or where I could find a bike like that. And he said his friend was selling a bike. So we
Just
took
a second. Why did you ask Kirk?
He has a friend that used to own a bike shop on Bear Valley Road that had been gone out of business. And his friend said that he had a red line bike, which is the type that he wanted. So I took a look at it and I bought the bike.
Where did you go to look at it?
At Kirk's house.
You went to his house?
Uh-huh. He lives in the same neighborhood. His friend had brought the bike over.
Step up. Where did you get this bicycle from?
From Brian, a guy named Brian.
What's Brian's last name?
I don't know his last name.
Well, how do you reach him?
He came to my house with the bike, you know.
Well, he didn't just show up at your house with the bike.
Yeah, he did.
Somebody must have told him that you were looking for that kind of bike. Why would he just show up at your house with a bicycle?
I guess he needed money or something. He was trying to sell it to whoever was around.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
how much did you pay for the bike?
$200.
Who did you give the money to?
I gave the money to Kirk.
Is that right?
Yeah, and what it was is Brian came with the bike, you know, and I gave him the money. I was like the middleman for him, like, you know.
Did you get any money for yourself for selling the
No,
bike?
No.
He didn't give you anything, not even $10?
No.
Why?
I didn't ask for it. I didn't really have to do anything.
And I didn't know that. I thought we paid him. That's who I have the bill of sale from.
Let me see it, please.
And what I had told Sherry's fiance when he came to my house was that I didn't have the bill of sale with me. And same thing I told the police officer was because my fiance had purchased the bike. And it was he was laying tile that day and it was in his possession.
Your Honor, but she also stated that she had a yellow copy and that she bought it from the bicycle shop, which happened to be the same bicycle shop I originally bought it from. And I have the police report that states that.
But I thought that that's where he had gotten it.
You have any reason to believe that this lady stole a bicycle that belonged to your child? Just pay attention. On your front porch. She lives in a house where she can see your house across the street, and then she permits her child to ride that bike in the neighborhood right in front of your nose. Wouldn't that be stupid?
On his birthday.
Just a sec. Shh. Don't speak. Wouldn't that be stupid?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
But
so
I never accused her of stealing the bicycle.
I don't understand, Miss Wilder, what you think.
I think her boyfriend
She knows somebody.
knows who took it or possibly knew it was stolen. I don't think
Well,
her
if you
son
think,
knew.
just a second, if you think that her boyfriend possibly knew it was stolen, he could also possibly not have known it was stolen. Aren't both things possible?
It's possible.
And what are you doing here? I believe that they paid $200 for this bicycle.
But the condition the bicycle was in, I mean...
You saw the bicycle, Miss Wilder, 2 months later.
The crank had been painted. The sticker on the crank had been painted.
Listen to me. You saw the bicycle 2 months later, and I don't know whether they did it or somebody who had it between the time it was stolen and the time you saw it 2.5 months later had painted it. I don't know. Did you paint the bike?
No, it's exactly how we bought it.
So somebody else had it in the 2.5 months. When was your son's birthday?
March 23rd.
Okay, and you saw it the next day. Somebody else had the bike. Somebody else painted it. Now you can sit down.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I'm not satisfied that any of them had any knowledge whatsoever that this was a stolen bicycle. I don't think that this lady would have given her son a stolen bicycle, especially to
Broke
ride
my
around
heart.
the street. It's ridiculous.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry Wilder says neighbor Robin Witt owes for the cost to restore her son's bicycle. Robin says Sherry has been spreading rumors about her family.
Now, after this happened, did you start to say bad things about her?
No, I did not. Her children go to school with my children. I walk my son down to the bus stop. I do not talk to her kids.
Why not?
Because they don't talk to me. I have no
Did they
reason
ever
to
talk
talk
to you before?
No.
Okay. What information do you have that Miss Wilder has defamed you and called you a thief?
When she brought the police officers back to my house, and yes, I did answer the door.
No, just don't talk to her. Talk to me. I'm asking you the question.
Okay, I'm sorry. She told the police officers, well, if you open their garage, you'll probably find the 2 scooters that were stolen out of my front yard, too.
That's not defamation. Go ahead. What's next?
Then my children got to where they didn't want to ride the bus. They wanted to ride back and forth, and I was wondering why, what was going on. They had children telling them at the bus stop that they were stealers and that...
That's all hearsay.
Well, I brought Samantha because she goes to the bus stop. She's my 5th grader. She's 10 years old. And she said Miss Wilder doesn't speak to them, but that her words were, she's not deaf. She heard her say these things to other neighbors. One of them living next door to my mother.
Just a second. Come up here, Samantha.
Where?
Come up here, Samantha. Oh.
Your Honor, the one other thing is the day that the police showed up to take...
I'm not interested in the bicycle anymore. I've resolved the issue of the bicycle.
No, it has to do with what she's saying about the kids in the neighborhood
Just a
and
second.
that.
I'm not finished. How old are you?
10.
I want you to think very, very carefully. And you know, you have to make sure that when I ask you a question, you tell me the truth.
Yeah, I know.
Only the truth. Got it? Do you know Miss Wilder?
Not very well.
Did you ever see her at the bus stop where you go to school?
Yeah.
Do you ever speak to her at the bus stop?
No.
Do you ever hear her say anything about you or your mother or your brother at the bus stop?
I have heard her.
What did you hear her say?
That we were thieves and that
Who's we?
me and my brother and my family.
Who did she say that to?
My grandma's next door neighbor.
What was your grandmother's next door neighbor doing outside? Does she have a child that goes on the bus?
Yes.
Did you say anything to your grandmother about it?
No.
Did you tell your mother about it?
Yes.
What did you tell her?
That I had heard her talking about me and my brother and my family.
How'd that make you feel?
Bad.
Has anybody said anything to you at school?
Yes.
What do they say to you at school?
That we were thieves and that my brother was a thief and people had been pushing Cortland around and it was really bad because they were calling us things and Cortland didn't even want to go to school anymore.
You know that all that is not true.
Yes, I know that.
And that I don't believe at all that you or your brother or your mom stole anything. Okay. You understand that?
Yes.
And if some children say some bad things because adults aren't doing the right thing, that's a bad thing for them to say.
Yes.
But sometimes you even have to forgive adults because sometimes adults act like stupid children. That sometimes happens. Okay?
Okay.
Good. How do you do in school?
Good.
Yes?
I get straight A's.
Got a girl. Somehow I figured that. Okay, go and sit down. Your conduct, Miss Wilder, is out of order.
Your Honor, I never said anything.
I believe you did. Not only do I believe you did, but I believe her, and I believe that because of the statements that you made, either you or your children or your fiancé or anybody else, that you placed Miss Witt's daughter and son in a circumstance at school that made them uncomfortable. I believe that you had no cause to believe that Miss Witt or either of her children had anything to do with the theft of your bike. And I do, in fact, believe that you made a statement overheard by this child that called this child, her brother, and her family thieves.
I didn't.
That's a very hurtful thing. So your case is dismissed. On your counterclaim, I am awarding you $1,000. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I only wanted to protect my children.
I've never said anything about her kids. I've never said anything about her.
It was an embarrassing situation for all of us.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McCrae versus Lathers Higginbottom. Step forward, please.
43-year-old realtor Kathy McCrae and her daughter, 11-year-old Heather, are suing 44-year-old Brenda Higginbotham and 52-year-old Johnny Lathers. Kathy says Brenda and Johnny's son, 14-year-old Lawrence Lathers, shot her daughter with a BB gun.
All right, no, you stand up here. Step up. Only the children were there that day. The parents were not. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that correct? So, you were shot in the hand with a BB gun. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened.
Me and my cousin Casey were walking down the street. His dog started barking at us.
Whose dog?
Lawrence's dog. So we told it to be quiet. Franklin and Mikey, those are some neighborhood friends of Casey's, they said that they could get the dog to be quiet, so they went inside and got Lawrence.
These two other boys? Mm-hmm. Went inside where?
Went inside his house.
Went inside Lawrence's house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And so he came out with a BB gun.
Who came out with the BB gun?
Lawrence did. So I was going to tell Casey, but she told me, she said, I know.
She knew what?
That he had a gun. So then we were going back. Casey said, just ignore him. So I did, and then we walked across. We were going to the stop sign, and he shot, and it had hit me in the finger.
How many people had BB guns?
Just him.
Okay, is the BB still in your finger?
No, ma'am.
It was taken out?
Yes, ma'am.
It hurt you?
Yes, ma'am.
You have any scar there?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it, please? Come on up here. Show me where.
Right there on the middle finger.
How many times did they try to take the BB out of your finger?
2 times.
Did it hurt?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was inside, and I seen them walking down the street because I was on the phone. The dog was barking, so the doorbell rung, and Mikey told me he came knocking on the door, and I told the dog to be quiet, and I told him he couldn't come around there because they don't allow him in my house. So he left, and then I went back inside, and I was on the telephone, and then they kept passing down the street, and I was just looking out the window. Then I told the dog to shut up again, and when they passed by, they was going down the street, then the doorbell rung again, and it was Mikey. And I asked him what he wanted, and he had this pellet gun, and he told me to come outside. And then he was shooting at the sign across the street.
What were you doing?
I was on the telephone at first.
Not at first. When you went outside, you brought your BB gun outside.
Yeah, I went and got my gun because he had
Right,
his.
you went and got your gun and you went outside.
But they was going down the street, but Mikey was still at my house. They had left after the second time, and they walked down the street, and then he came and rung my doorbell.
I heard that. But you left out the part that you went outside with your BB gun.
I went outside with my BB gun, and we were shooting at the sign across the street.
Right.
And then after that, I told him I was about to go inside because it was getting dark. And I went inside and I got back on the telephone. And about an hour later, the police came.
Right. Good. Stand where you are.
The police came.
I'm not interested in what happened with the police. So you and your friend were shooting, and it is your defense that how can you tell which BB shot her?
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Doesn't matter.
Well,
it doesn't matter. If 2 morons are shooting a BB gun out in the street and there are no markings on BBs so that you can't tell which gun it came from, they're both responsible.
Well,
Period. End of discussion. Don't try to make yourself appear foolish, sir. There's no discussion. That's why there's no issue here. He had absolutely no right to go outside and shoot that BB gun unless there was a totally clear space. Nobody there. Nobody could get hurt. And if you didn't train him to do that, or if you trained him and he didn't listen, you are responsible for his actions. Who bought him the BB gun?
Ma'am, the distance
Who
that they
bought
were,
him the BB gun?
We did.
We
but
did. There you go.
The distance that the young ladies got shot at, BB guns doesn't reach that far.
What do you think? She shot herself in the hand?
Oh, well, she left there with little Frankie. Now, he had a BB gun. Now, what happened to his? Why he didn't do it somewhere? We heard this lady. She didn't holler when she got shot. Nothing happened. She didn't show nobody she is shot. She ain't told nobody. How can a kid get shot with a BB gun and says nothing to nobody?
Where did you want her to come back to your house?
Well, she could go to the neighbor's house. Anybody, a kid
She
could
went
go.
to her house.
Okay.
She went to her house.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Go ahead.
Mikey left Lawrence and went down the street where these girls were with
a
his BB gun in his hand after he and Lawrence finished shooting.
Maybe.
So who is to say Mikey didn't?
Who's to say? I don't know who's
when
to
he was
say.
down there.
All I know is that two idiots were shooting BB guns into the street. And it had to be into the
They were
street
shooting
where there were people and cars because there's a stop sign there which indicates that the police feel that that street corner is sufficiently dangerous to put up a sign, which means that cars cross and people cross.
It
They were
wasn't a
shooting.
stop
It wasn't a
sign.
stop sign.
He just told me he was shooting at a stop sign.
At the speed limit sign.
Yeah, but that's not.
further down
But that's further
Judgment
down
for
the
the
street.
plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. Idiots. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Of Abel versus Lemke. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Abel, you and Mr. Lemke were dating each other, and according to your complaint, you moved into a home that he purchased, and you paid him during the course of the 6 months that you lived there approximately $9,000. You claim that that was money that you want back now that the relationship is over because that money was really used to defray the cost of his mortgage.
Yes.
In addition, you claim that he has some personal property that belongs to you and a cat. Mr. Lemke says that the money that you paid to him was rent, that the cat belonged to him, that he had the cat prior to your moving in, and he has none of your personal property. What was the financial arrangement when you moved in, Miss Abel?
On May 7th in 2004, we discussed how I could help with expenses. Mr. Lemke brought up the fact that about $1,400 would be fair, and I offered another $100 just to call it an even $1,500 because two women, my daughter and myself, were moving in, and there's a lot of blow dryer and hot water used
Okay,
in
so
that
you
case.
agreed to pay him $1,500 a month.
Yes, I did.
Okay, and?
And then about May 24th, after I had moved in, we'd become engaged, we had a discussion concerning my problem with the fact that I'm giving a lot of money to something that I won't get any return on. And why would I want to give $1,500 toward a mortgage that my name was not on? And Mr. Lemke said, well, I've been thinking about that, and here's what I've worked out. And I have the notes that he jotted down that day to explain to me how this money was actually an investment into his property.
Well, first tell me what he said to you.
He said that because his home appreciates $54,000 a year, over the past 10 years it had done that because it's lake property, that if you divide that number by 12 months and then again by two people, it comes out to about $2,200 a month in equity and investment money.
Yes.
And that is what he...
If your name was on the mortgage and if the house was titled in both of your names.
That part was left out. The fact that he
Well,
said...
I understand
Yes.
that, but I understand it's left out of your story.
Right, exactly. But he also mentioned on the same piece of paper in an email to the attorney that I'm willing to invest in his home and that upon sale of the home, I would receive the investment money back plus free equity. And that is also in the handwritten note that he
Let me
gave
see
me.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this note discusses a prenuptial agreement that the two of you were contemplating.
Correct.
And what he says is, Gail wants to enhance the aesthetic ambiance of my cabin and is willing to invest in it.
Mm-hmm.
Any proceeds over $775,000 would be shared in the event of a sale. Are you okay doing a prenup for both of us?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you sold the cabin?
No.
Well, your agreement was that when and if the house was sold, you would share in the profits and get your money back. The house
Mhm.
hasn't been sold.
Correct.
So, you can't change the agreement because you're no longer together. You could have just as easily worked out an agreement where you said, well, that's fine. If the house is sold, I get my money back, and if we don't get married, I get some of my money back. But you didn't do that. So you didn't get your money back. The house hasn't been sold. That's your agreement.
But it was a term of our engagement and marriage as I understood it, that money was investment.
You don't make an investment just because you understood it to be an investment. So you never came to an agreement with regard to that, according to this. Now, you're not suggesting that Mr. Lemke agreed to support you and your daughter.
Oh, not at all.
Good.
Not at all.
So that your $1,500 a month that you paid went for the roof over your head and your daughter's head, the electric that you say you used because you're two women that use more electricity, for the heating or air conditioning or whatever else. $1,500 a month is reasonable. Get over it. Now let's get to the cat. Did you have the cat before?
Gail got the cat on her 40th birthday as a gift to herself. And shortly after I met her, gave me the cat.
When?
She said, we met February 3rd, and she gave me the cat February 20th.
Were you living together at the time?
No, she was living in her house. And she gave me the cat because the house was a total mess of animal feces and stink.
Whose
in
house?
Her house.
Yes.
And she had trouble with maintaining all the dogs and the cats in her house. So
How many dogs did she have?
I'm guessing 5 to 10.
Is that how many dogs you had?
I'm a breeder, Your Honor, and I had 5 dogs, yes, at the time.
How many cats?
2. And I would like to say that my house was not as he mentioned.
When did you move into his house?
May 15th, 2004.
All right, so between February and May, the cat was in his house?
No, Your Honor, no. I'm sorry. The cat did not leave my home until April. I had not decided to move in with him until April. And at that point, he asked if he could take the cat ahead of time because his daughters would get a kick out of it.
Okay. When did you move out of the house?
November 26, 2004.
And when you moved out of the house, did you take the cat with you?
No, I couldn't, Your Honor. I had to leave in a hurry because of abusive behavior.
Did you come back on the 27th for your cat? Just answer my question. Did you come back on the 27th for your cat?
Not for the cat, Your Honor. For possessions that I needed, my clothing and that sort of thing that I needed that I could take with me.
Good, but you didn't take your cat.
No, I could not.
Why could not?
He had told me that I must leave the dog and the cat there.
Fine. Did you come back with the police and say, this is my cat?
Yes, I did on February 28th.
Too late. Finished. Cat's his. If somebody took my dog, I guarantee you I would be there. I would file a lawsuit, not for my property, but if somebody took my dog and wouldn't let me have my dog, it wouldn't take me from November 26th to February to say,
Your Honor,
my pet is gone.
I had been asking him for the cat over
Asking
and over
him for the
again.
cat, listen to me, asking him for the cat is not what one does when one is missing one's valued, precious pet.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The property that you claim he has that's yours are a soy sauce bottle, CDs, tape gun, painting supplies, and brush.
Yes, a growing list of things that I needed
I'm not
to
interested in your growing list. Get over it, Miss Abel.
And later today,
I read the answer about the flying pencil, but I want him to tell me himself how the pencil got on his chair. So we're going to start from turn around and look at me.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gail Abel says ex-boyfriend Tim Lemke owes for the return of money she invested in his home. Gail also claims Tim won't return her cat.
Go ahead.
I have email of all the times I requested amicably to
Just a
get
second.
the cat back.
Starting before February?
Yes.
Show me before
Absolutely
February.
before February. All right, this starts on January 16th. We had had prior communication until
No,
that
just a
date.
second. So the first
Yes.
time from November is in January that you have proof of when you asked for the cat back. Is that what you're telling me? Let me
That's the
see.
proof, yes.
Let me see.
It starts at the top of the page.
Where's the cat now, Mr. Lemke?
The cat was loaned to a friend of mine to catch a mouse.
Where is the cat now?
Oh, my house. Excuse me.
That was my question.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you right. Apologize. He was loaned out for a very short amount of time, and she demanded I get the cat back and I could keep the cat as long as I kept the cat at my house. So she came back and verified, and that's in an email that the cat was there, and she said, okay.
Where is that?
It's in an email.
You have it?
Yeah, right here. And when she... Excuse me.
Well, this in January seems to indicate that you wanted to come to his house to verify that the cat was back in his house.
Yes. And I asked again, may I please take my cat back? And he said no, he wouldn't even let me near it. He had the cat missing for a month, Your Honor. That night he gave me 3 different stories as to where the cat was. First it was with an old lady having surgery.
Where are your dogs now?
The one that I kept is with me. The other dogs I placed in other homes because...
And what about the cat that you had?
I had the cat for 6 years.
Where's the cat?
Oh, the second cat?
Yes.
Oh, the second cat?
Yes, the cat.
The cat we're talking about.
No, your other cat. You said you had 5 dogs and 2 cats.
Right.
Where's the other cat?
Right. The other cat went home with Mr. Lemke's nephew and stayed with his brother. I have that cat back now. I'm very thankful to say.
So you have the cat back?
I have the other cat back, yes. But not this one. But in the top of that email that you see, he said, I will give you the cat back if it's that big of a deal. And I said, yes, it is that big of a deal.
Well, evidently it wasn't such a big deal because you waited 4 months to get it back. Now, what property? Are you telling me that the property that you claim he has that's yours are a soy sauce bottle?
Oh, sorry, Your Honor.
CDs, just a second. A soy sauce bottle, that's what you say in the email. CDs, a tape gun, painting supplies, brush, hand pail rollers. This is what you say in an email.
Yes, as I discovered things were missing, Your Honor.
I'm not interested in as you discovered. Is this the email that you sent to him on January 19th? Soy sauce bottle, CDs, tape gun, painting supplies, and brush.
Yes, a growing list of things that I needed
I'm not
to
interested in your growing list. Get over it, Miss Abel. Listen to me very carefully. It didn't work out. Put your list down. It didn't work out. You paid rent for $1,500 a month for those 6 months that you lived there. Very reasonable, considering you are 2 people. You made that agreement, and the fact that it didn't work out, and you did not memorialize an agreement that was more specific with regard to the $1,500 that you were paying him is your problem. You cannot visit that on courts. It didn't work out. Put a period, move on. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
All right, thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was naive, I was stupid, I made decisions too quickly, and I trusted someone who should not have been trusted.
The thing that was left out was when she moved in, there wasn't 5 dogs. There ended up being 12.
Extremely controlling. I was told how to breathe, how to stand, how fast I had to get pretty in the morning, and not to wear gray sweatshirts ever.
I'm not controlling.
That's who he is, and I just say the next girl needs to watch out.
She's a wonderful gal. It's too bad she left.
I'm glad it's over, and I do trust Judge Judy to make the right decision.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Macias versus Ayala, step forward, please.
Medical coder Alina Macias is suing the mother of her son's schoolmate, business owner Sandra Ayala, for the cost of her son's medical bills and pain and suffering. Alina says Sandra's boy injured her son with a pencil.
Step over there. No, you have...
Yeah, no.
Okay, you too.
What's your first name?
Nathaniel.
And yours?
Jonathan.
Nathaniel, you were injured in school.
Right.
With a pencil.
Yes.
You sat down, according to the complaint. You sat down on your chair, and you were stuck in the rear end with a pencil which lodged in your buttocks and had to be surgically removed. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And it is your claim that this young man was responsible.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I assume that you didn't see how the pencil got there. Because if you had seen how the pencil got there, you wouldn't have sat on it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you didn't see how it got there?
No, ma'am.
So Jonathan here is going to tell me, because I read the answer about the flying pencil, but I want him to tell me himself how the pencil got on his chair. So we're going to start from turn around and look at me.
12-year-old Nathaniel Mancha says his classmate, 12-year-old Jonathan Ayala, stuck him with a pencil. Jonathan claims it was an accident.
How old are you?
12.
How do you do in school?
Good.
How is your conduct in school?
Good, too.
Never have any complaints by the teachers?
A little bit only.
Speak up.
A little bit only.
And when the teachers complain about you a little bit only, what do they complain about?
Like sometimes talking and then like a little bit slacking off.
Now, you know Nathaniel, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long has he been in your class?
This year only.
Do you like him?
Uh-huh.
Did you play together?
Uh-huh.
Do you remember the day that he was hurt with the pencil?
Uh-huh. Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how the pencil got on his chair.
Well, I was doing my work and like the pencil was like small, so I didn't want it anymore. So I wanted to throw it to the trash, and
It's just the pencil was small,
yes,
and you're sitting in your seat, and you wanted to throw the pencil in the trash.
Yes.
Where was the trash?
next to Nate's chair.
And how far away from Nate were you sitting?
At least like 2.5 feet.
So very close.
But
So now you got this little pencil, and you wanted to throw it away, and the trash was right next to him.
yes, it was right next to his chair.
What were you going to use to complete your work?
Another pencil that I had on my desk, which was bigger.
So you had a little well on your desk where you could keep the pencils?
No, I always put my pencils next to my papers.
Do you have a book bag?
Yeah, in my backpack.
Where is your backpack?
I left it home that day.
What were you wearing to school?
My school emblem shirt and my jeans.
Your shirt have a pocket?
No.
Your jeans have a pocket?
Yeah, but they're tight.
You know you're pretty swift. You think that you're smarter than I am?
No.
You're not, Jonathan. Believe me, you're not. You know where I'm going with these questions? Where do you think I'm going with these questions?
Trying to see if I'm telling the truth or not.
Yeah, trying to see if you could put the pencil someplace else rather than throw. What you're going to tell me is you threw the pencil into the trash. Or
No,
you
I
tried to throw it into the trash.
Yeah, I was going to.
Right? And it landed straight up on Jonathan's chair. And he sat on it. Right?
I didn't land straight on the chair. It was going through the chair when he sat on it because he was...
It was in midair when he sat on it.
Yes, it was pointing up.
How you got hurt?
Well,
whose fault do you think that is?
Mine.
Right. Now we're getting somewhere. Why is it your fault?
Because I threw a pencil.
Because you threw the pencil. You had choices. Right? You chose throwing the pencil. Right?
Right.
So whether you threw the pencil and he sat on it or you placed it on his chair as sort of a joke, it's your fault. Right? See, I knew we'd get somewhere. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Now you can sit down. I mean, Miss Ayala, quite frankly, you wrote the answer. You told me in the answer that this was nobody's fault. It was the pencil's fault. Oh, next to your mother. It's not the pencil's fault. It's his fault. He had choices. And at age 12, he has to understand that there are consequences to making the wrong choice. His choice was he could have held on to the pencil. He could have put it in his pocket. He could have placed it on the floor. He chose to throw it, according to him, which way out, but, you know, not impossible. Certainly not his fault that he sat down on his chair, right?
Right.
So now your son understands that it's his fault and his responsibility that he got hurt. Do you understand that?
Yes, I understand.
Perfect. Good. Now can I see his medical bills?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of treatment did you get?
They put me under.
Under anesthesia?
Yes. And I had to get the pencil surgically removed from my buttocks.
Did you have any stitches?
Yes.
How many stitches did you have?
1.
Were you uncomfortable for a while?
Yes.
What did Jonathan say after you sat on the pencil? Did he apologize?
No.
Has he ever apologized to you?
No.
Have you spoken to him since this happened?
Yes.
Are you back to being friends?
Yes.
Good. Did you apologize?
No, I never got a chance to.
Well, now's a chance.
Sorry, Nate, for throwing the pencil.
Certainly, Miss Ayala, you don't expect the plaintiff to bear any of the cost of treating her son. They had almost $600 in unreimbursed medical bills, and that you are responsible for. Because as between the two of you, he's innocent and he's not. Whether he did it as a joke or whether he did it because he was negligent or because he wasn't thinking. So you are responsible for those medical bills. Are these your only bills?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. That's all.
Parties 83 on the count in the matter of Sandoval versus Alvarez. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
And you were working at the same place where Mr. Alvarez was working. What do you do for a living?
I was a server. First, I started as a hostess, and I ended up as a server.
And what about Mr. Alvarez?
He was my manager.
Now, you decided to join an employee program, but not an official program, for savings.
Yeah.
Tell me how it worked.
It's kind of like something to save money. The person in charge gets 10 people together. And Johan right here was the person in charge of it. He got 10 people to participate. Then after you get the 10 people to commit to it, you get numbers, you put them in a cup, everybody gets their number. Each paycheck, you will have to give in $100. The first time you put in the $100, number one gets $1,000. Next paycheck, everybody puts in another $100, number two gets their part of the money. I was number 11. I was the last number in it because I was planning to save my money to purchase a car.
So he was in it too?
Yeah, he was number one.
He was number one?
Yes.
Did we all draw at the same time?
No, he said since he was the person in charge, he will receive his money first, and everybody else got a number. Actually, with me, I requested number 11, so I know that by the end of it, I would have my money and I didn't have to go back and finish paying anybody.
And how much money did you put in?
$1,000.
But you quit your job before you had actually accumulated $1,000.
Yeah, I actually quit when I was, I believe, in number 3. But I also talked to him, and I told him I will be responsible enough to bring the $1,000 every date that it was supposed to be.
You mean $100?
Yeah, the $100.
And did you do that?
Yes, every time.
Who did you give the money to when you came back each week?
Okay, the next 2 numbers, he was there when I went to go drop off the money.
Yes.
So I gave him to him personally, and I asked him, since I don't work here anymore, for my safety, in case any problems happen, I would like you to sign my paper every time I give you the money.
And did he do that?
Yeah, he signed 1 through 5, all the times that I showed up that he was there. But after the 5th time, I believe he started getting weekends off, which was the days we were supposed to turn in the money. We got paid on Friday, so you would have 2 days after that to turn in your money, which was Saturday or Sunday. And then after that, I would go to the restaurant and just give it to the person personally, because we had a list, and I knew exactly who was next and who was supposed to get the money, so I would go and give it personally to the person. But when it was my turn to give the money to, I talked to Johan and told him, when can I go pick up my money? And I never got my money, so I went on Sunday.
Well, what did Mr. Alvarez say when you said, I want my money now?
Oh, well, actually, this was his excuse. He told me, Soma, you know what? I'm having problems with the money. So I told him, I understand problems happen. And he actually gave me his word that 100% that he was going to have it for the 29th.
29th of what month?
April. Actually, I showed up on the 31st, 2 days after. And I asked him if he had my money. But he had called me already, which I didn't check my voicemails, telling me he had a problem. So I was like, oh, man, we just...
Well, what did he tell you the problem was this time?
He claimed that he got pulled over by the cops and that he didn't know he had a restriction order, for his arrest, because something had happened with his license or something, and that they took him into jail and he had to pay a bailout of $1,000, which he had to use my money to get out. So I said, that's not my problem. I need...
How are you, ma'am? How you doing?
Don't ask me how I'm doing.
Okay. To begin with, when we joined this saving, everybody was aware of it.
Don't tell me what everybody was aware of. Where's her money?
I told them.
Where's her money?
The money, I do not owe her anything, okay? I told her, and to begin with, to everybody, whoever's going to quit the job is not going to receive the money. I'm not going to be responsible.
Just a second. Okay.
Okay.
So, shh, please, don't speak. Now it's Mr. Alvarez's turn. So let me take your hands off your hips.
Okay.
So let me understand. You say that you explained to everybody
exactly
that you say that you explained to everybody that if they quit the company, they lost their money. Is that what you say?
Yes, ma'am.
And Miss Sandoval was told that if she left the company, she would lose her money.
Right. I would.
That's what you.
Right.
Is that
That's
what you just told me?
Yes.
When did you leave the company?
I think I don't have the exact date, but I believe it was after the 3rd number. Actually, it was a day after New Year's. I remember.
So the beginning of January 2005. Yeah. When had you started to put in your money?
I started 11/26/04.
Do you get paid every week or every 2 weeks?
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. So what we're talking about is the entire month of December, which is when you would have put in your money.
Yes.
minimally 2, maybe 3
Yeah, around there.
times you contributed. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that correct so far, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now let me see where you say he signed off on the money. Well, Mr. Alvarez, you gave her what amounts to a receipt for 5 payments.
Yeah, exactly. I told her.
Shut.
Okay.
Mr. Alvarez, let's recap what you just told me, sir. You told me that you explained to Miss Sandoval that if she left the company, she would lose her money.
Right.
She left the company after putting in 3 payments.
Yes, we had a
I'm
talk.
speaking.
Okay.
But then you accepted 2 more payments from her after she left the company, sir.
Yeah, because we had a talking.
No, we didn't.
Just a second. Well, now he's changing it, you see. Now he's changing it.
I'm not changing it. I did not finish. You didn't let me finish what I
You finished enough, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
They were peeing on her mattress.
We do not know that for sure.
Listen to me, sir. You know why I know that for sure? Because I don't think she peed on her own mattress.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Salma Sandoval says former co-worker Johan Alvarez scammed her out of $1,000.
Mr. Alvarez, are you trying to tell me that you never said to Miss Sandoval, because it's very easy for me to figure out, and it's very easy for me to find out by picking up the phone and calling the police, that you never said to her, I got pulled over by the police,
Sure.
and I needed $1,000 in bail?
Yes, I did.
Now, why in the world, Mr. Alvarez, would you tell her that you needed $1,000 bail if you didn't have her $1,000?
I had the money with me, okay?
No. No. Now we're getting somewhere, madam. Go ahead. You had the money with you.
I had the money, and I told her when I did call her, I said, I'm going to set up a day with you so I can give you the money because I don't want nobody to come to my job.
Just a minute. So now you acknowledge that she put in $1,000 to the savings plan.
No, I not acknowledge it. She was giving the money to somebody else.
I don't care who she was giving it to, sir.
Well, she was not giving it to me.
I don't care if she was giving it to you or not. The money was turned over to numbers 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. It was now her time. She has turned in the money so that everybody got paid in full $1,000. Now you've got the $1,000 and you get pulled over by the police.
I did not have the $1,000 with me. I told her that I was going to be responsible to give the money so we could get over with it. Because she was calling me on the phone and harassing me. She went to my job. She bring the boyfriend out there that she has. She bring him to try to fight.
Did you use $1,000 for bail?
No. Not her money. It was my money.
Just a second.
It was my money.
No, it wasn't.
It was
you got your money already.
No, it was my money. Okay, so...
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes, ma'am.
She's telling me the truth, that you told her, I had your money, but I got into trouble and I needed to use the $1,000 for bail. She didn't make that up, sir.
Your Honor, I did have money on me. Okay, I did not have to use her money. The only thing was she was coming to me, she was harassing me on my job. She went to tell everybody on my job that I was a thief and I'm stealing money.
You are. You took her money. You are. You took her money.
Ma'am, and then she didn't stop that. She went to the president of the company to tell him.
Good for you. Good for you.
Exactly.
Because he told me that he was going to lend them the money.
And then the president of the company called me and said, get it over with. I don't want to hear it.
And I'm telling you the same thing, my dear.
And then
the first person who got paid this $1,000 was who?
It was me.
And the last person that's going to get paid this $1,000 is her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I knew he was going to try to lie. He lied to me more than 5 times.
He went to try to intimidate me, I guess.
I didn't threaten him. What I told him was he needed to cough up money.
I feel like he didn't try to scam me, but he got caught up in a way where he wasted the money. He had no way of paying me, so he had to find different excuses.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Krill versus Sheets, step forward, please.
19-year-old leasing agent Jennifer Krill is suing her ex-roommate, 21-year-old sales associate Christopher Sheets, for damage to their apartment and for his share of their security deposit.
All right, Miss Krill, let me see if I understand what this rental situation was about. You were doing some part-time work in the leasing office of an apartment complex. In exchange for that, instead of giving you a salary, they gave you an apartment.
Correct.
And you decided that you would supplement your income by bringing in a roommate, Mr. Sheets,
Correct.
who I assume you knew from someplace,
Yes.
right?
Mutual friends.
And he would pay you a small amount of, like $100 a month.
Plus $50 a month for utilities.
And then he would pay the security deposit, because there was a security deposit of $300.
Yes.
And he moved in. He said, that sounds like a great idea to me. He gave them a check for the security deposit. And then, according to you, there was a misunderstanding. Mr. Sheets says that he had heard that you were bad-mouthing him, whatever. He didn't want to live there anymore. He moves out. And it is your claim that the $300 check for the security deposit bounced, that he did some damage to the apartment and some damage to your personal property.
Yes.
Mr. Sheets does not address the bounced check. And yet, he acknowledges that he caused some damage to the apartment
Correct.
and says to take it out of the security deposit.
Yeah.
So, let's cut to the chase. Where did you get this $300 check for?
At the time, my father and I had agreed that he would pay $300 for the security deposit.
And you wrote a check.
Correct.
What happened with that check?
My father and I have been disagreeing with each other lately, and then finally he said, I've had enough of it, and canceled the check.
So what you're telling me is your father stopped payment on the check.
The check had already been cashed, and I had been informed that by the leasing agent. My dad had reported it stolen or forged.
Because you...
Oh, just a second. Here we go. Now it gets more interesting, because this is the only interesting part so far of this case.
Yeah.
Your father reported the check stolen
Correct.
and forged.
Correct.
So he wanted you arrested.
Well, he didn't want that, but he wanted to get it settled.
He didn't think that she forged the check.
Right.
You forged the check.
It wasn't, I didn't forge
No,
the check at the
he
time.
said that you forged the check.
I had turned in a check in his name, correct.
How did it end up that they no longer have $300 of the security deposit?
They should still have it. When I called the apartment complex manager, I told her that I wanted my security deposit back. She
Let me see. Can I see that, please?
This
She
is the
continued to
check
tell
that
me.
has stolen and forged on it, and he forged his father's signature. I actually talked to his dad.
Oh, I see that the bank marked it stolen, do not present again.
Correct. His father called the bank and canceled the check that he forged.
Correct. I'm not denying that.
So that the rental company did not cash the check.
We cashed it, and then we got it back because obviously we can't have that money
So they
anymore.
gave the money back to him?
Yes, they had to.
I
because
see.
he did not sign the check.
Okay.
Jennifer Krill says ex-roommate Christopher Sheets damaged their apartment and her personal belongings. Jennifer claims Christopher punched holes in the walls and ruined her mattress.
Mr. Sheets, you're no longer living there, so you don't have to pay the security deposit.
Correct.
Let's start with that. Don't say correct. I'm giving you a gift here, sir.
Thank you.
But you do have to pay for the damage you did to the apartment.
Which I had explained to the leasing agent that I would take full responsibility for the
Fine.
damage that I had done.
Good. What did you do?
I had put a hole in the wall. I had also put a hole in the door in my room.
That sounds like a lot more than $300 to me.
It was $25 a hole is what I was told by her.
Do you have a bill for the damage that he did to
Yes,
the
I
apartment,
do.
please, Miss Krill?
And then I also have this.
Are you talking to your father now?
No, we have not spoken in over a month.
This is for the security
$120,
deposit.
Spring Lakes Apartments. That's what you owe for the holes. And then, from your... Oh, well, this, listen to me. You're going to pay your own security deposit.
Okay, I was just giving that to you.
That's fair, right? You're there, you pay the security deposit. He's going to pay for the damage you did. Now the place is damage-free. Any other damage you caused while you're there, you pay for.
Yes.
I'm a reasonable person. Okay. Now, Miss Krill, you claim that Mr. Sheets damaged some of your property.
Yes. When I got back to the apartment about 2 in the morning with my friend Katie here,
Had there been an argument?
Yes, actually, he called me on the phone, on my cell phone, and he's yelling and screaming at me.
What is he yelling?
You know, how could you talk crap about me, da-da-da.
She was saying that you were living sort of off of her?
Correct. She was taking full advantage of her having the apartment for free and using it against me.
Using it against you by
House.
saying you're living there, you weren't paying enough.
Right.
I get a rent-free apartment, but I am working 20 hours a week for it, and he pays me $150 a month and
Yes.
pays for food, and that's not a bargain.
So you were saying he got a bargain?
Yes.
And you took offense at that?
When she uses it against me is when I took
How did
offense.
she use it against you?
Ruining my reputation between friends.
By
talking-
saying what, Mr.
Just
Sheets?
talking trash behind my back. It
you
happened several
explain-
occasions.
All right, now you're not living together anymore. Come on, fill me in. It's late. I have things to do.
Well, he called me yelling on my phone. I went back to my apartment with Katie, only to find him and his friends throwing things down the stairs. There's mattresses, bed frames, boxes everywhere in the road. One of the neighbors in my apartment
His
building.
stuff?
Yes, his stuff. They called the cops because, it was a whole bunch of commotion. And I tried to go confront Chris. I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? He doesn't even want to talk to me. He's like, I'm moving out. That's it. Da-da-da. I'm like, okay. Can't stop him.
Can you tell me, please, what property you allege that he damaged that belongs to you? He already has to pay $120.
He urinated on my mattress, which was about $400.
Well, how do you know it was him?
I have pictures.
That's not my question. How did you know it was him?
Well, he was moving out all the stuff with two of his friends, so, he had the problem with me.
Let me see.
These are all the pictures.
So what you're claiming is it was either Mr. Sheets or one of his friends?
Yes.
He took all the food in the refrigerator?
Yes, everything.
Get over it. What else? I got the mattress and the holes.
Deposit, the food, but that wasn't the charge. That's the main things.
Let's talk about the mattress, Mr. Sheets.
I did not do that, Your Honor. I did not see anybody do that. I was out going to get a truck when I came back.
Were things being thrown out of the apartment? Your things?
My items, yes.
Your items?
They were getting it out as fast as possible.
What time of the day or night was that happening,
It
Mr.
was
Sheets?
about 2:15 in the morning, I do
Well,
believe.
sir, so what you're telling me is at 2:15 in the morning in this apartment complex, you're throwing things down the stairs. There are other people that live there, is that right?
Correct.
That's not very mature, Mr. Sheets.
They were moving the things out while I was going to get a vehicle to take all the things to my new...
Well, you selected people who were not very mature to
I
do the
agree.
job, right?
Yes.
And if you select people that aren't very mature to move you out, and they are acting in an immature, rowdy fashion, whose responsibility is that?
Mine.
Right on. And while you were out getting a truck to take this stuff out of there that they were throwing down the stairs, you know what else they were doing? They were peeing on her mattress.
See, we do not know that for sure.
No, listen to me, sir. You know why I know that for sure? Because I don't think she peed on her own mattress. Listen to me very carefully, sir. When you invite people to do a job and you don't supervise them, and you do it in an irresponsible manner at 2 o'clock in the morning, you have to assume the responsibility for everything bad that happens. How much was the mattress?
About $400.
What do you mean about $400?
My father bought it for me about 2 years
Yeah,
ago.
will you
this
find
year.
another one for $200? Anything else, Miss Krill?
Yes, ma'am. He also urinated on about $100 worth of my clothes that were laying below my bed.
Where are they?
They're not with me anymore. I threw them away.
$320. Get over it. That's all. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Number 137 on the calendar in the matter of Oglesby versus Magallanes. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Miss Oglesby, according to the complaint that I've read, on April 21st, you went to your ex-boyfriend's house. You and your ex-boyfriend have a child together. And it was your intention to retrieve some property. You arrive at the house, and the defendant is there.
Yes.
You and the defendant exchanged some words.
Yes, we did.
Nasty words.
Yes.
Why, I couldn't tell you, but you exchanged some nasty words. According to your complaint, the next day, while you were in or around your home, the defendant shows up with someone else in her car. They get out of the car. Your children are in your car.
In the car.
You get in your car because you see her. And she kicked your car and terrorized your children who were in the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you want her to pay for A, the damage to your car, and B, for terrorizing your children, right?
Yes.
So you get to the house on April 21st, the ex-boyfriend's house. Who answers the door?
Nobody answered the door, Your Honor. He wouldn't open the door.
How did you become involved with the defendant?
As I was leaving, he came out on the balcony, and I asked him, just let me get the clothing. I need it for my daughter for school. And he...
Just a minute. I would like her out of the room, please. Go ahead.
Okay. He came out on the balcony, and he says, get out of here. You left me for another guy, this and that. And at that time, she came out on the balcony, and I exchanged words with her.
Well, what were the words you exchanged with her?
I just asked her, who are you, and things like that. Really was none of my business, but I just asked her. And she didn't say...
But it wasn't nice. You didn't say, who are you?
No.
What is your name?
No.
So you were annoyed and nasty and screaming at your ex-boyfriend and screaming at her. And then you left.
Yes, ma'am.
What happened the next day?
The next day I was coming home from a fair in our city, Orange Blossom Festival, and I had my friend with me, and my brother was with me that day. And we had 2 kids in the car, and then we stopped at my cousin's and we picked up my 2 daughters. And on my way home, I witnessed her nephew driving down my street. I was leaving the gates, and I saw him coming into the gates of the apartments, and he was looking at me like, you know, what are you doing here? And I was kind of wondering.
Okay, so nephew. So you see the nephew driving down the street.
Mm-hmm.
And
so I turned my car around because I was going to go to my cousin's house because I didn't know what he was doing on my street. I was kind of a little bit worried. So as I was stopped my car, I got out of my car and I was standing there because he was going to turn around. I thought he wanted to talk to me or something, so I got out of my car.
Your Honor, if I can
just a minute. I thought you said you were driving to your cousin's house because you didn't know what was going on. He was looking at you funny. So what did you get out of your car for?
I got out of my car because I wanted to clear up what happened with me and her the day before on the balcony. I didn't want any trouble.
Go ahead.
So he didn't turn around at the first street. He went to my street, honked the horn, and the defendant came out of my street with her 2 friends in her truck. And I got back in my car because I saw her coming, and my 9-year-old daughter was screaming bloody murder. My 6-year-old daughter was crying, and they were screaming. She's all, no, Mom, no, Mom. And
what were they screaming for? So far, nothing's happened.
Because that guy, she didn't know what he was doing on my street. And I told my friend, I think that.
We passed the guy. You got back in your car. I thought you told me you got back in your car when you saw the nephew. And then you saw her car.
I saw her come out of my street, okay? And I got back in my car, and I sat there, and I told my friend, call 911, because I didn't know what they were going to do.
Where was your friend?
She was in the passenger seat.
So what happened next?
Okay, so I got back in the car, and by that time, she skidded up in front of my car. Her and 2 other girls jumped out of the car, came up to my window. My window was halfway down. I said, my kids are in the car, my kids are in the car. And she didn't say nothing, but she said, you're mine. And I just seen this foot coming, and then her friend hit my car with a cane, a brown long cane.
Was there a dent on your car?
Yes, ma'am. I have a picture.
Let me see. Uh-huh. Got it. Okay. Estimate.
This is from my insurance company, and this is from the body shop. I had to pay $500, and they paid $315.
So you had a $500 deductible?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
On April 21st, approximately like 4 o'clock in the evening.
4 o'clock is in the afternoon, last time I looked.
Early afternoon, early evening. I was invited over to Carlos's house.
I don't care. You were in Carlos's house.
Okay.
She comes over.
And we were celebrating my birthday. I had nothing to do with, no relationship, honestly, with Carlos. I walked into the kitchen. I heard a knock at the door, and that's when the plaintiff ended up hearing my voice. I said, someone is at your door. And then the plaintiff had knocked twice, this time even louder. And then after that, I was like, oh my God, who is that? He sat there and he told me, oh, that's my baby's mom. And I said, oh, great. I don't want any trouble. I didn't even bring my own vehicle. He went to my residence and he picked me up.
I don't care about that. Just get to what's important, madam. You had words with her. She started screaming. There's no question in my mind that she opened up a big fresh mouth and called you a whole bunch of names when you came outside on the patio. She opened up a big fresh mouth and then she left.
In a gated community, she entered the residence, and then she got on her cell phone and she made numerous calls, which I had called authorities, and Carlos had asked her to leave.
Okay, because she was pretty frightening.
Yeah.
She was pretty frightening.
Right.
So then my question to you, madam, is why the next day do you go to her house?
That is not accurate. The whole scenario of the case is like, it was one day, which was on the 21st. The 22nd is when I got to there's a local gas station. There's another street coming eastbound.
I don't care, just get to
she ended
it.
up coming oncoming traffic with her 2 children in the vehicle, and she boxed my vehicle into the gasoline station. There was a truck.
Shh. Hey, no, she's not. Okay. No, she's not. You got a miserable hot temper.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gwen Oglesby says her ex-boyfriend's friend, Dominique Magalonis, kicked her car. Dominique says Gwen attacked her.
Go ahead. She boxed your car in. So she's even more frightening. And then she took off.
No, she didn't, Your Honor.
You took off.
No.
Somebody left.
No, this is a...
You're not still at the gas station.
No, the whole thing is the reason why I ended up leaving is because I was rolling up in my lower truck, and I was rolling up the window, and I could see her coming out like this, and they said, oh my God, there she is, which was my other witness. I had 3 witnesses that didn't even show up today because she's intimidating.
Just a second. I don't care about you 3 witnesses who didn't show up today. Did she hit you?
Yes, she did. She struck me from my driver's side window.
Did you call? Hey, quiet.
He was with me.
Quiet.
As a result of that, the gentleman on back of me in the other vehicle let me go.
So you left?
I ended up going down on this one street that directs from my house to her house.
Perfect.
And then I ended up calling a deputy that I know specifically in the area that we live in to ask him basically, what am I supposed to be doing with this?
Why did you go to her house the next day?
To go out there and let her know that I had just started working for a new office, and I didn't want her going into my office and acting a fool like she did at the apartment.
Just a second. So, she acts like a maniac 2 days in a row.
Correct, with her children in the vehicle.
2 days in a row.
Correct.
The next day, you, with a couple of friends in your truck, go to her house to have a discussion with her? A reasonable discussion with her?
No, ma'am.
What did you go there for?
She had occupants in the vehicle. She had 2 daughters.
What did you go there for?
To basically explain to her that I am
So
not
you
gonna
went
do it.
there to have a reasonable, calm
Yes.
discussion with her?
I conduct myself in a decent manner.
What'd you kick her car for? You kicked her car.
No, because the reason why, I admit that
You
I did
did
kick
kick
her
her car.
Because, okay, if anybody caused any trauma to her 2 children, the daughters, she had a knife inside the front vehicle.
I don't want to hear you.
Okay, and about her saying that I had apparently called her these names, she was standing outside the vehicle. She ran inside in the car. She had her hair down, as it is now. She pulled it up in a ponytail, and she said, you know what, it's one-on-one, B-I-T-C-H. That's exactly what you said to me, with your children inside the vehicle.
Wonderful. She's not, listen to me. She's a hothead. She's got a hot temper. You're a fool, because I don't believe that you don't have a hot temper, because somebody who acts as crazy as she acted 2 days in a row.
Correct.
You don't respond to that by going to her house with friends in your truck. You had no business going over there. You have a friend in the police department.
Correct.
Your friend in the police department would not say to you, well, after acting like a nut, I think it would be a good idea to go over there and try to have a calm discussion with her.
Correct.
And you did, and you ended up kicking her car and causing damage.
Because she tried to exit the vehicle with a knife, and she was on a cell phone.
No,
she
no,
passed
no,
a cell
no,
phone.
no, madam. Listen carefully to me. You had no business being there with your 2 friends in a truck. You kicked her car.
But it was out of self-defense. I wasn't
No,
trying to cause any harm
self-defense
to
in
her.
her.
You were on the phone, and I said,
Excuse
you know
me, Your
what?
Honor.
I told her straight up.
Be quiet, hothead.
Okay.
I told her.
Quiet, hothead.
I told her honestly, I said, you know what, you're a very beautiful woman, but the way you're acting towards me, I have no relationship with Carlos, nothing.
Just a second. I don't believe you when you say you went to her house for the express purpose of having a calm discussion with her. You went there with 2 cars, not 1. Your nephew's car went first. You came in your truck second with other people in your truck. You ended up banging her car. But for the fact that you went to her house, you would not have placed yourself in this circumstance. You have to pay for the damage.
But yet let her
Period.
come to my residence and drive up and down my residence, so I don't even stay at my house anymore. I've moved out of location.
I'm telling you, she's a hothead. She's not going to get 1 penny for what she says was trauma to her children. She's suing not only for the damage to her car, but for the trauma to her children. She caused that.
I'm not worried about the money. I'm just worried about her leaving me alone. That's basically what I want.
Well, I want to tell you something. You didn't handle it right, madam. Handling it right was not going to her house
She comes
with a whole
around
bunch
to
of
my-
other people.
That's not true, though. I
You
didn't come
went-
to her to sit there and try to cause damage to her.
Whether you did or whether you didn't, it was an exercise in poor judgment, considering what had transpired the 2 previous days, to go to her residence.
She
and
presented
to
a note
confront her.
into my-
Listen to me. Period. Period.
When she goes to my office and she presents a-
Period. Now, your girls were traumatized?
Your Honor. Yes,
Your girls were traumatized?
Yes, they were.
I have a feeling that if your girls were in the car, you would have said the exact same things as you said when you went to pick up their property at the house, Big Mouth.
I don't do that in front of my children, Your Honor.
Oh, really not? I don't think you can control yourself. So I'm eliminating any claim for trauma to your children. You better learn how to control your temper. But
Okay.
you do get the damage to the car. Your out-of-pocket is $500. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The defendant's just upset that I told my ex-boyfriend that she was really a man
instead of really a woman.
Her attitude is like way off limit.
And now the next case.
All parties on Caldwell versus Madrid. Step forward.
24-year-old clerk Mary Caldwell is suing her ex-girlfriend, 24-year-old plumber Janet Madrid, for an unpaid loan to buy a car.
Miss Caldwell, you and the defendant were living together. You were in a relationship when you claim you made a loan to her to purchase a car for the down payment. Is that right?
Correct.
And according to you, the car down payment was $2,500. She made one payment of $200 to you and has failed to pay the rest. You want your money back?
Yes, correct.
Defendant says there was never a loan. When was the car purchased?
July of 2000.
How long had you been living together prior to that?
Over a year.
Now, as part of the defendant's response to your complaint, she says that a year before that, you had wanted to purchase a car, and she sold a couple of motorcycles that she had. Is that right?
Yes.
And gave you the money to put down on a car that you wanted to buy. Is that true?
Yes.
How much did she give you?
I don't have an amount for you, I'm sorry.
Did you ever pay her back?
No.
You are living together at this time in a relationship as a family. Is that right?
Correct, at the time.
And am I also correct that this car that she purchased was put in both of your names?
Correct. For the reason that she didn't have a driver's license, she was unable to drive.
All right. Now tell me the circumstances surrounding this alleged loan, Miss Caldwell.
We were in a relationship. It was falling out at the time, but she asked me to loan her the money, in which I
What
loaned
did she
her.
say?
She said, I want to get a car. And I told her, okay, that's fine. I had the money on me. I said, well, it needs to be a loan. Do you understand that? And she said, yes. At that time, we went shopping around for a car. She chose the vehicle that she wanted. I made the down payment on it. She told me that she was going to pay me back. It was a verbal agreement between the both of us.
That sounds all pretty pat. All right, Miss Madrid, let me hear your version of it.
I never told her that I want to borrow the
No,
money.
I want you to tell me step by step. Don't tell me what you never told her.
We both said that we need a car.
Why? You already had a car.
No, because the car that she bought before this car had got repoed because she couldn't make the car payment on it.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. You didn't tell me that.
Sorry.
When had it gotten repossessed?
Maybe about 2 to 3 months before we bought this other car. And I was paying the last couple payments on that car because she couldn't pay for it. She lost her job. And so I said, I want to go get a car. And she's like, okay, yeah, we do need a car. And she had just got a settlement from an accident. And she's like, well, I have the down payment for the car. And I was like, okay, fine. I thought it was just like me giving her the down payment for her car. I thought it was an even swap.
Well, even swap. You said you gave her $800. This is $2,500.
Yeah, well, our whole relationship, you know, she never paid bills. I paid all the bills. She never paid rent, nothing. I supported her.
Your
She
Honor.
didn't have a job. She didn't have a job. Anytime she needed money, okay, here, Mary, here's some money.
So?
So I took the loan out on the car to finance the rest of the car, and I've been paying on it ever since.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. In February of 2001, you gave her $200. What was that for?
It was probably for insurance or something.
Your Honor, that is not true.
Because insurance was in her name.
Yes, the insurance was under my name because she didn't have a license. How was the insurance going to be under her name if she didn't have a license?
I asked you a question.
Yes.
Do you work?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I do clerical.
Where? For whom?
For a hospital.
Which hospital?
It's actually called Medical Group.
How long have you been working there?
About 5 months.
Prior to that, where were you working?
Prior to that, I was working at a temporary agency.
So you weren't working regularly prior to that?
Correct.
Okay. Tell me about this alleged $200 payment.
When she was kicking me out of the house, she told me that she wanted all my stuff out of the house. I said, okay, that's fine. I'm moving all my stuff out of the house. She
What
told
day
me
was that?
Maybe February, in the middle of February. So right around our supposedly anniversary is when it happened.
Well, tell me about it.
I asked her for money to give me some kind of repayment on the loan. She told me, okay, here's $200. She wrote me a check.
You have a copy of that check?
Mm-hmm.
Can I see it? Looks like she gave you money pretty regularly. What'd she give you money for pretty regularly?
Mainly to pay the bills.
No, she's got things here for the gas company. Pacific Bell? Here's one for $100 to you. On the bottom it says Janet's stuff. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Mary Caldwell, that's you, another $100. Mary Caldwell, $160. What kind of work do you do?
I'm a plumber.
Work full-time?
Yes.
All right, Miss Caldwell, let me tell you what I think, madam. What I think is that the two of you were living in a relationship as a family. And when the year before you wanted to buy a car, she gave you some money. And when the following year she wanted to buy a car and you had some extra money, you said, I'll put down the down payment, you make the payments, because you weren't working, you were working as a temp. And you were all living as a family. And now that you're not living as a family anymore, you say this was a loan. I don't believe you, your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused, you may step out.
Versus Starry. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Young lady, have a seat, please.
Ms. Danilova, it is your claim that the defendant purposely damaged your car by throwing a coffee mug at it, which caused it to dent and something to crack. The defendant says he absolutely did that.
Yes, I did.
And he says he's got a good reason. So I have a few questions to ask you. I gather that you people really don't know each other.
No.
But you live in a house that's in a cul-de-sac, and you have a friend that lives in that cul-de-sac, whom you visit frequently.
Well, not anymore.
Well, you used to.
Yeah.
How old are you?
19.
And you've been told before by people that live on the street that you drive too quickly in this cul-de-sac. Is that a fair statement?
No.
Have you ever been found guilty of driving at an excessive rate of speed?
Yes.
Where?
Freeways, mostly.
How many speeding violations do you have?
Since I had my license.
So I assume that you were driving before you had your license. You're not going to tell me that. You're going to tell me after you had your license. How many speeding violations have you had?
I think like 7.
7?
Yes.
So it wouldn't be beyond a reasonable person's imagination that you drive too quickly in this cul-de-sac. Is that right?
Right.
So why don't you tell me what happened on the day that Mr. Starry threw a coffee mug at your car?
Me and my sister were driving to pick up my friend. As we were driving by Mr. Starry and his friends, I don't know, my windows were up, so all I heard was just a bunch of yelling, and I saw a bunch of people outside on the sidewalks in the street.
So that there were people out there. Were there adults and children?
I saw adults, mostly.
Or maybe you were going too fast to see the children.
No. It's the cul-de-sac that they live in. It's really hard to speed because it's at a curve, and there are cars
Most
parked.
cul-de-sacs are on a curve. That's what a cul-de-sac is. It's a curve. Goes around.
Well...
So you went to pick up your friend, and what happened after you went to pick up your friend?
While we were in her house, some ladies came up to the door, said, you know, she was speeding, you know, slow down, and I acknowledged that.
So you acknowledged that you were going too fast?
Yes,
on that day.
I listened to them.
Why did you do it?
I mean, I wasn't speeding like going 30, I wasn't going over 35 miles an hour.
35 miles an hour is not what you do in a cul-de-sac. Then you left. In the car. You were driving. Is that right?
Yes.
And what happened?
As we were driving by Mr. Starry, something was thrown at my car. It bounced off, and that's when I stopped the car and got out to see what was going on.
Did you exchange words?
Yes, we did.
What were the words?
Well, he was just yelling at me to, I don't know if I could
slow down.
Well, he was just yelling and screaming and getting in my face. He didn't say it politely.
Okay, I'll hear you.
Your Honor, on the day in question, I was inside my house when she came into the neighborhood, and my wife and 2 neighbor ladies went to the door and knocked on the door and asked her to slow down. What they reported to me was they laughed and slammed the door in their face. When I heard that...
That sounds right.
When I heard that, I got irritated. When she backed out of her driveway and screeched her tires to come up the cul-de-sac, without really even any consideration, I stepped out in front of her and threw my coffee cup at her car.
Can I say something about what he said?
Sure.
That car could not screech tires if you tried because it's a Corolla and it was an automatic. When the ladies came up to the door, it was my friend's mother who actually opened the door. And I don't think she would slam the door in their face.
Did you
She
laugh
came
at
up
her?
to us saying, there's ladies outside saying you guys were speeding. We're like, well, okay.
Is that what you said, like, well, okay?
Well, my friend came up to the door to talk to them, and they were just yelling and screaming, saying, you're speeding, you're speeding.
And you said, well, okay.
I said, okay, I understand. You know, what else am I supposed to say?
Okay. Now, would it be a fair statement that prior to this incident, you would go and pick up your friends pretty often?
Almost daily.
Now, after this incident, would it be a fair statement that you don't go to pick up your friend anymore?
Yes.
No.
Shh, 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 just a second.
I'm sorry.
That you don't go there every day anymore. And you don't go there every day anymore because you're frightened. to go on that street?
No, I don't go on that street anymore because he constantly harasses me. I've had this whole summer.
So that you are frightened to go on that street because he harasses you, and you're afraid what might happen.
Yeah, he's threatened me before.
Not before this incident,
Not
you
before
said.
this incident, no.
Afterwards. So it would be fair to say that as a result of him throwing a mug at your car, you don't go to pick up your friend anymore.
Yes, you can say that.
So you accomplished your purpose. Is that right? Just answer my question. So you accomplished your purpose. You don't have to worry. Just listen to me. You don't have to worry about her as you did previously.
Now it's that way, Your Honor, but it wasn't that way until after, I would say, June or July.
Fine, but then you've accomplished what you wanted to accomplish. Is that
but
right?
I finally had to take her to another court for attempting to run me over in the street.
But now she doesn't come back.
Finally, yes, and I'm happy with that.
Now, I absolutely think that each of you should bear a certain responsibility with regard to this incident. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
Good. I'm awarding you $1. The rest of it's your fault. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
That dollar thing was totally uncalled for.
I'm happy.
I did what he wanted me to do. I stopped coming over there. I stopped speeding.
I'm happy with that. That's what I wanted.
And now the next case.
All parties on Laram versus Huth. Step forward, please.
35-year-old teacher Susan Laram is suing her former live-in boyfriend, 29-year-old Mason Ron Huth, for unpaid living expenses and damage to her car.
Ms. Laram, the complaint that I read said that you lived with the defendant for about 1.5 years?
He lived with me.
He lived with you. And that you no longer live together. The breakup was acrimonious, and he owes you for a variety of things. He owes you for rent. He owes you for damage he did to your car at one point, and he owes you for smashing up some work that was done in your backyard.
Yes.
When did you start living together?
In June of 2000.
And what was the rent arrangement?
At that time, he was supposed to help me out with the bills, and he didn't do that, so after some arguing, I had him put it down in writing.
That sounds romantic. Can I see that, please?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Susan Laram is suing former live-in boyfriend Ron Huth for unpaid living expenses and for damaging her truck in a fit of rage. Ron says Susan tried to make off with his children's car seats.
Well, this is dated May of this year.
Yes.
When did you move out?
I moved out a week after that note was written.
Okay, so this writing is meaningless. You were fighting at the time. I want to know what your arrangement was from the time he moved in until May of 2001, because that's when he moved out.
Right.
Did he contribute any money to the house?
No, he did not.
According to you, Mr. Huth, you gave her your paychecks.
Every paycheck that I made from the time that I started living with Sue, and to make sure the record is clear, I only lived with Sue for 5 months before we got into our first argument, which you would say, where we had our first breaking up. I moved out on November 29th of 2000. All right, that was my birthday. There was an incident that happened that
All right,
night.
we'll get to that incident because that has to do with car damage that she's claiming.
Okay,
Okay, let's get to the fact that you say you turned over all your paychecks to her during the 5 months that you actually lived together. Is that accurate, Ms. Laron?
It was, but then he also took all the money back out of my account.
Well, how did he take the money back out of your account?
He had my check card, and that was how he deposited his check, but then he also, in turn, took out all the cash.
Well, if he's putting his entire paycheck into the bank, just pay careful attention. He's putting what he earns into the bank. So he has to clearly take out some money for himself to live on, to go to work, to do whatever he has to do, to buy clothes, etc. Now, if you're telling me that he's using your checking account as merely a way of getting his own money back and he wasn't contributing anything to the house, that's a different story, because that would be sort of like using your bank as a check cashing service. But if the two of you are using your checking account and you can't manage your bills, and that's what you were fighting about, you can't come to court later. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, do you have any such record from the bank indicating that he was using your checking account as just check cashing?
Not with me.
Well, this is the place to have it. So that deals with the issue of rent. Now let's get to this car issue. You say in October of 2000 he purposely damaged your car.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
We were in a fight over the phone bill because the phone was shut off because the phone bill was not paid. And I was going over to my girlfriend's house to get away from him because we were arguing. He jumped on the hood of my car, and as I drove by, trying to get him off of my car, he jumped off and smashed the mirror.
And what's your version of that event?
Well, ma'am, it wasn't in October because it happened on my birthday. I came home late from work that evening. I had planned to do something with Sue. Prior to that night, though, she had told me that her and her daughter were going to go over to a friend's house and spend the evening.
You had been fighting, I assume, over money.
Actually, no, the fighting was not actually about money. What I was more angry about was she burned my birthday dinner, she burned my birthday cake.
I mean, she burned it on purpose.
Well, she was so busy, what I think, and I'm not sure, but I think she was so into the fact that she was getting ready for her evening that she forgot about it.
So she burned your birthday dinner.
Right. I came home, and she told me that she was just going over to a friend's house the night before to have some drinks, which turned into, I'm going to a wine tasting party. This is my birthday, November 29th.
Should have been, just a minute, should have been a clue.
Should have been a clue, you're right. You're right, Your Honor.
So what happened?
Well, she was leaving. We actually got into a very big argument. My children were actually there. I then told Sue when she was going out to her vehicle that I needed my car seats because I knew that there was going to be an altercation when she got back from the store for making a phone call.
For the children?
They were in the back of her Blazer. I then followed her in the garage. She got into her vehicle. She locked the door and turned the radio up so I couldn't speak. I walked around behind the vehicle. I stood there, and I did not move. I told her I was not getting out of the way till I had my car seats. She began to back over me. I moved out of the way. I followed her down the driveway, and then I stood in front of her vehicle, and I said, all I want are my children's seats so I can take them back to their mothers. That's it. You know what? That was the end. She would have stopped the vehicle, got out, and gave me them. It would have been over.
Okay,
all right? I then proceeded. She started to move. I jumped up on the hood, and I laid on it. Very wrong for me to do. Put myself in very much danger. She began to accelerate down the road with me on the hood of the car, okay? I slid off the side on the driver's side. When I hit the ground, she gunned it, and you know what? I can't just say what exactly happened. I know that the mirror was damaged. It was ripped off the vehicle. I was hit here in the shoulder. She drove around the corner, got out of her vehicle, and yelled every obscenity that you can imagine at me because her mirror was busted.
Did you get the car seats back?
No, never did. She took off.
That is not true.
He seems pretty clear. He acknowledges the fact that he jumped on the hood of your car and that the mirror was broken. So,
the incident in question happened October 7th, which is a Saturday. And as far as his birthday dinner, it was not burned.
But my question to you about this car incident was that this happened in either October or November of 2000. And he left, but then he came back.
Right. He did not leave until December.
Fine. Now, when he came back, did you talk about the car?
Yes. I asked him when he was going to repair it, and he got some glue and tried to glue it twice, and it didn't work. So I did ask him to repair it, and he did not.
When did you ask him to repair it?
Right after it happened.
You lived together in January, is that right?
Yes.
Did he fix the car in January?
No.
What about February? Did he fix the car?
No.
March?
No.
April?
No.
And then we go into May.
Right.
Miss Larome, not everything is a lawsuit, madam. He describes an incident where you took off in a huff and you had his children's car seats in the car. Did that ever happen?
Yes, that happened. But after he knocked the mirror off my car, I took the car seats out and threw them in the yard. So he did get them back.
Why didn't you give them back before?
I didn't realize they were in the back seat of my car. That doesn't make it right for him to jump on the hood of my car and break my car mirror.
Absolutely not. You were driving off with his property. And you knew you had his property in the car.
I
You were
did
very
not
angry.
know.
You were very angry. People do things when they get angry. And if you had said, well, I may have been angry, but you had no right to put yourself on the hood of my car, even though I was taking off the property that belongs to you.
Right. I was only going up to the store to use the
Who
phone.
knows? Who cares? He wanted the children's car seats.
Right.
You'd had a fight in front of the children. He wanted to take the children home. It's all a fight. Not everything involves a lawsuit. You behaved badly. He behaved badly. And when you took the car seats out and threw them on the lawn, that also was not the right thing to do.
You're right.
Right?
You're right.
Okay. So take care of it like grown-ups. Now let's get to the backyard. You say that you had a major argument in May of this year and that he destroyed the backyard. His defense is that he built the backyard so he could destroy the backyard. Is that your defense? So let's hear about the backyard.
As part of a present to me, he built brick planters in my backyard around the deck. I have photos if you'd like to see. And because of the argument that we had that day in June, he destroyed all of it.
I did that, Your Honor. I did.
All right. Did you, in fact, build this brick planter box for
You
her?
betcha.
Or you were in the process of building it? It doesn't look like it's completed.
It wasn't complete yet, but almost.
As a gift?
Your Honor, yeah, it was a gift. It was also the part of like the deck that I built. It was all something to work out for flowers and stuff.
Okay.
A lot of the other stuff that I do have a list of things in the course of the time that we were together that I did build in this house.
Can I see it, please?
And around the yard. And I never asked for one penny for any of this when I left. And this is my own hard-earned work, myself, my labor of bringing these materials home from work for this lady. And it was because I enjoyed her and loved her very much. And that's why I did that.
Let me ask you a question. Did he build a playhouse in a shed?
I have a photo of that, too. And it is not a playhouse or a shed. It is a big monster that is in my yard.
Did you tell him to take it out? Did you tell him to stop building it when he was building it?
No, he just quit building it. So I have that in my yard.
Okay. Did he build a doghouse?
He put a roof over the top of the doghouse.
He said he built a doghouse, and then he put a roof on the dog kennel.
Right, for his dog.
Did he build a deck?
Yes, that's in
That's the whole
picture.
back deck?
Right.
Didn't break the deck?
No.
What about a brick fire pit? Did he build that?
Yes.
I see that you did work around the house, and you were building things around the house, and you do have a deck, correct?
Yes.
You had no right out of anger, sir.
I know.
To smash the work that you did.
You're right, I did.
And so what this involves is cleaning this up.
Right.
How much do you estimate it's going to cost to clean up the bricks?
I talked to his former employer, and he said to clean it up and replace it would be $3,000.
No way. He made a mess. He got angry and he made a mess, and he should pay for that.
Your Honor.
Yes.
While I was wrecking it, the officer came into the yard. He asked me what I was doing, and I said I was wrecking something that I spent a lot of good time building for this lady. And you know what? Out of anger, yes, I destroyed it because I was very hurt with the way things were going.
Well, is it still this
All right.
way?
I told
Yes,
the
it
officer I will come back at any time to clean this mess up. I said, but she is not going to have this in her yard. He said, okay, you come back. She made it very clear that she did not want me to come back and clean
Because
it
she
up.
was angry that you were angry and that you,
Yes, I
you lost your
understand that.
temper, and she doesn't want to deal with that anymore. But at most, if you get somebody to come in, it'll cost you $50 to have somebody
Yeah,
come in
you-
and take all this brick away. They may even do it for nothing, just for the bricks, if you let them take the bricks away. Anything else? Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $50. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Mình đang cầm trên tay đây là nước tẩy trắng Garnier Michelin, là một cái dòng sản phẩm tẩy trắng thế hệ mới và với cái ứng dụng công nghệ của Michelin Technology của Garnier Laboratories, và nhờ vào cái công nghệ của Michelin thì với cái dòng nước tẩy trắng của Garnier, đặc biệt nó không sử dụng chất liệu cồn và để làm sạch và lấy hết các cái bụi bẩn cặn bã khi mà chúng ta trang điểm, mà cái ứng dụng cấu trúc phân tử có đầu và ưa nước và đuôi kỳ để hút tất cả các cái cặn khi mà chúng ta trang điểm, cũng như là sẽ hút tất cả các cái bụi bẩn trong lỗ chân lông của chúng ta. Và sau khi tiếp xúc với da thì các cái mixi sẽ mở ra và hút được tất cả các cái bụi bẩn cũng như là các cái cặn bã trang điểm của lớp mắt ấp khi chúng ta mắt ấp, và nó sẽ mang đi khi mà chúng ta sử dụng cái bóng tẩy trắng để chúng ta sử dụng lên cơ thể mặt của chúng ta, và nó sẽ làm sạch da tuyệt đối mà không bị khô da, và cũng như là sẽ không làm cái mất nước như các cái loại nước tẩy trắng khi mà sử dụng các cái loại cồn như trước đây. Và với cái công nghệ mới Michelin thì đối với dòng nước tẩy trắng của Garnier này thì nó sẽ có cái ưu điểm là tẩy được cho mọi chỗ khi mà chúng ta mắt ấp, kể cả những vùng da cực kỳ là nhạy cảm như là quanh vùng mắt, như là vùng môi. Đó là một dòng tẩy trắng cực kỳ là chuẩn mà chúng ta nên sử dụng, và đối với dòng này thì nó không sử dụng cồn.